And hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to EON Season 5 Grand Finale. I'm your host, Christian, joined up by Reapers this time. And we have a pretty solid game between the side of Freakret and Myth after the match of Freakret, and I believe it was MYD after a very explosive match. So I'm excited. How are you feeling, buddy?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm looking forward to the grand finals. It's always fun to cast a BO5. It's always fun to watch a BO5 because you get to see teams playing on maps that they don't usually, and also it's the culmination of EON series. We get to see who takes it all. We get to see who wins it, and both of these teams have made it here off of winning against MYD, and now they sit here in the grand finals and try to determine who's the best between the two.
Well, I have seen Freakret previously, and they have really outdone themselves, defeating MYD in a pretty successful fashion on a 2-0, including a map where they were supposed to be weak on the map of Fortress, that is. So they have definitely shown off that they have no weaknesses, and they are really looking forward to take this battle on their opposition. I don't have much idea about the side of Team Myth, but I'm pretty damn sure that they have gained some experience and they have fought their way up, because at least from the bracket, speaking of which, we are going to be putting up the bracket on our screen right now to see exactly how well their path has been. So as it seems, they have had a pretty well clean way to the grand finals, actually, because having a 2-0 against MYD is a pretty good achievement if you ask me, because truth be told, MYD was also a really strong team, which compared to Freakred. Previously, I forgot the exact tournaments name. I think it was Axis Series where I saw them against Freakred. They were able to dominate the players, but this time around, Team Freakred were able to go to that extra mile. Meteor Sports, again, I don't have much idea about it.
Well, I will wait with my myth bias to come in until they start winning, but I do have a bit of background with Team Myth and how they've done in previous qualifiers, especially around the T2 scene, and they're a mainstay team. It's quite a different roster now than it was, but the org is the same. Domantas is still around, and so it's definitely a mainstay. You always see them performing decently well in T3 ecosystems, in T2 qualifiers, in T2 systems. So I'm not surprised to see them here. The question is, do they have what it takes to win it out in a BO5, or do they end up faltering due to the map pool?
When it comes to a grand final, I usually get very disappointed when it say OX anything, because it kind of feels like that on a grand final, at least both the teams should go neck to neck, and they should be able to put up their best fight. And now, as we talk about the teams, we will be heading into the teams. Which teams, or which players are we gonna be seeing in action from the side of Team Freakret and Myth Esports? Starting off with Myth Esports, the team I don't have much idea about. We have Venoms, we have Leon, Dom. Again, these are pretty new names for me because I haven't seen them in action. Domance, Coded, Fluency, and Slows, a pretty mixed team as well, if you ask me. While when it comes to their map picks, well, honestly, this is interesting because Consulate being the worst map, I'm not sure if it's because they just didn't practice it enough or they're just not comfortable. But anyway, I don't think the ratio is going to be that off the board.
All right, and with that, I think we can move on to have a look at the other side as well. The opposing team that came out of the lower bracket got knocked down a little earlier, did lose to MYD early on, as you'd already mentioned, and then had a close fight on two maps to make it all the way into the grand finals. And we've got Tom on Job, we've got Solar, we've got Ecox. This is a lot of the German mainstay that you might remember from GSA back in the day. We've got Shmari, Cheetah, Alex. There's a lot of other players here. I don't know who is actually playing in the lineup today. I'm just gonna allow myself to be surprised by who ends up in the server, but there's a lot of players in here that certainly have been around the scene as well, so there's no surprises here.
Absolutely. And at the same time, the players have shown off that they're pretty good with their substitutes as well. So I'm not going to be really surprised to see exactly who will be deployed. But then again, the performance is something we will be looking forward to. And now we will be heading into the map bands to see which maps will see most of the action here. Mind you, Bank is the worst map of the side of Team Freaknet. I just realized. So they have successfully removed Fortress from the weakest map they had. That is actually an achievement and a half, if you ask me. And now that I mention it, I realize that it is Myth Esports probably understands that Bank is their opposition's good map or maybe worst map, or maybe it's something they're really comfortable on as they have chosen that map. Moving in forward, we have Night Haven Labs, Border, Consular, and Clubhouse. A pretty interesting combination, if you ask me, because I think back in the days the bans used to be like, okay, I pick a map, you take a map, and then we ban two maps and goes on. I think there has been some changes, which is kind of new because I'm not quite familiar with it. But overall, the map picks look pretty solid. I do have a problem with Border because personally, I don't like the map. But then again, it's very personal.
All right, I do like to see the contrast coming out, and a quick little info on the way that the map bans work. Myth came out of the upper bracket, so they have a ban advantage, which means they get to pick first without any bans coming in. They get to pick out of all 9 maps that are available in the pool, and they decided to go with
Correct.
Bank. This is the must win. This is your map that you get because you came in from the upper bracket, because you didn't lose a series in going into the playoffs. This is the must win. Like Myth picked Bank, this means Myth must win Bank. If you falter here, you easily allow your opponent to win the mental game early on. This is just like the free map pick. You should pick their worst and your best map, and there's no two ways about it.
I mean, they actually did that, and I really hope they can live up to it because Freakret, they were the victim of the same thing yesterday, but they were able to bring themselves out of the hats and the gutter. So if Freakret can do the same thing again, Meteor Sports, they have to go back to the drawing board while on the fly and bring something come kind of out of the hats here. But anywho, we will be heading into the ban phases as we get to see Arcade and Grim ban. Pretty standard if you ask me. So my second guess is gonna be to have a Mira being banned from the side of Myth because Mira can have those strong positions, for example, inside of server, inside of any general objective, and so on. So no surprises there. Along with that, we're gonna be having a Monty ban. So pretty standard bans, nothing out of the ordinary here. So that's my take for the time being as we head into the CCTV locker room for the side of the defense.
All right, starting off with the basement. Once again, nothing out of the ordinary. Surprising to see that they start with basement, considering that Kaid and Mira were the first bans to go out from the side of Myth. You'd maybe expect top floor to come out as long as both the castle and the Azami are still available, but they decide to start basement. They decide to start their usual routine, I would assume, anyway. So, Freakret already starting out, not letting themselves be disrupted whatsoever. They're just going to try and play their own game, and we'll have to wait and see how Myth want to try and deal with that.
When it comes to this objective, I usually see a lot of teams running Tachanka, Smoke, and Goyo, of course. This time around, Tachanka's not available. Instead, we're having a Skopos who probably will be opting to go for the flanks and maybe get the players off guard while they're playing for the hatches.
5 seconds left before insertion.
For some reason, I can hear myself.
Attackers must locate
Okay,
and defuse the
so
bomb.
as I was saying, there have been occasions people place Tachanka. They can also bring some other operators, but I guess they have the flexibility to have a Scopus to get them off guard with while the Hibana or any other operator tries to go for the hatches. While with a Yang on the board, I do expect the players to go in a little bit more aggressively onto their take on server side, and probably are going to be able to find some openings as well. But the biggest problem they're going to have is taking control of Square, because now that I see there's a lot of players outside of Square, including the Tubarao, that's going to be interesting to say the very least. Gopos will find the opening onto the Deimos. So now that's your Hunter down, and now you have to play a little bit more objective focus. You'd still have the Ying on your board though, but the Hunt needs to be a little bit more decisive, as there's a lot of players on the board as Ying trying to find the angles and trying to find the isolations. Problem is, I do believe the defenders have already fallen back to the objective, considering they have found their opening. Never mind, there is still a Tubara on the run, but I don't think the Ying knows about it. If he is misdrawn by any means, or if he just goes out of the radar, that's gonna be detrimental, and there you have it. The Hibana's gonna go down, and somehow the Tubara survives. He doesn't take any damage from that Ying. The Ying is gonna be bringing out the shotgun, but with that DMR, the Tubara is making wonders happen. Now it's all of the old dog, the Thatcher, in a 1v4. This is gonna be really messy now. The round, which should have not been like this, the players of Freakret, they will surprise us, and they will definitely outdo themselves.
Yeah, it's a pivotal lurk play coming out of Shmari. He gets himself not just one, but two, finishes off the Mantis as well. Just a bit of a wide swing, doesn't work out for the Ying coming in with the shotgun. And now it's all down to Fluency, who's taking chip damage from every which way. He is getting tagged up everywhere. One player in Kitchen who's still trying to finish him off. Shmari might be low HP, but considering the player advantage, this shouldn't be a problem. Fluency does find the first. This is one step toward recovering the round, but he's got so much to work through. He's got about a minute, but he is being given individual peeks. Acox just peeks out from the bottom, or the top rather, of blue stairs, which leaves Fluency in a 1v2 all of a sudden. This looks a lot more possible. He's still 1 HP. He has no way of finding his way into the bomb site, as at the moment he's getting burnt out, and he hasn't actually managed to disable the Aruni gate properly. Does deactivate the Surya now. Here comes a swing from the Goyo. doesn't quite connect the shot. Once again, Solar, he's got a Vector. It doesn't do much damage, but it doesn't need to. All he has to do is connect one bullet. Another flame canister pops, another one of those Vulcans goes off, and Fluency will be locked out of the site until there's about 10 seconds left on the round. So he won't have much time to push inward. He tries to move forward. Another canister pops. That is going to deny him the way forward. He's going to try and fake the plant. And now with 20 seconds, Cheetah, ever so patient, just waiting for either a wide swing to come through or for that plan to go down so he can punish accordingly. He swings wide, he goes for it, headshot, and that's Freakret winning the first round a little closer than it could have been.
That's for certain. Nice attempt for the side of Myth, but good God, Freakret, they had a proper read on the top floor and they understood there will be players on top floor to go for the hunts, and they were able to cut them off head on. Especially losing the Deimos and the Ying, that's gotta hurt. But at the same time, I was saying the Miss Zone might be something where they will have to bite it. And the Hibana didn't know what was happening there. And now, Myth, understanding that they cannot go in blind, I think they will have a little bit more of a tactical approach here on out as we go into a top floor defense, which does mean that they're gonna need some form of self-destruction to get rid of the castle barricade. I do see Zofia, but at the same time, map control is something they'll have to focus on, because mind you can go for the rappels, but at the same time there will be players who will go for the rappels and probably take you down. Considering the way Freakret has been playing for the last 2 days, including this one, boy oh boy, they do look like a completely different team than the times I've seen them, because aggression is definitely in their name.
Yeah, certainly. They were not afraid to go for a top floor lurk, and they doubled up there to make sure that, you know, Tom was the first point of contact. They would see that one player, they would even get a kill. I mean, Tom got one without it getting traded back, and then he falls back and just allows them that false sense of confidence of, okay, he got his kill, he's confident, he clears out to maybe just play the late game. They're going to play super passive because they got first pick. Well, guess what? No, they're not. Shmari is still upstairs. Shmari is waiting for an opportunity to punish and just end the round outright, not just play for an advantage, but play for the win altogether. And that kind of confidence is important, because when you're playing not to lose but instead playing to win, you make those kinds of plays that end up shutting down rounds and not giving any chance, even with a Fluency who's hitting his shots. And that's really important to see. So Freakret, good start. The question is, do Myth bounce back off of this one? Because once again, this is their map pick. Out of all 9 maps, they wanted to go here.
That's for certain, and at the same time, they are looking like they're going to be able to get some information, and they are going to be able to get their heads in the game, as it seems, because I do see the players of Freakret playing pretty aggressively. Even then, they were able to, like, the opposition were able to punish them. But as it seems, it's not 100% true. It's still 50%, considering our refrag does come out from the side of Valkyrie, and now they'll have to play without any form of flank washes. Even though I do believe some of the air jabs has been deployed, but still, that is still a long haul, considering you have to fight with those 4 remaining guns. As the attackers, they do start things off from the rappels on the lobby side, trying to make sure there's nobody onto the main lobby, or probably in spiral as well. But at the same time, they gotta make their way inside of stock as well, and I think that's gonna be where the challenges will start to take place. Considering they have an Azami as well, there's a lot of cover to work around with. That's what I was talking about. You can probably get rid of some utilities, but they are not going to last for too long, because Castle is just the first line of contact. The Azami is just extending it. And now, don't tell me we're going to be going for a quick jump in plan and go for it, because I do see some smokes being deployed, but no aggressions quite yet. This is admirable, because, yeah, you can go for the plan probably, but after that, you probably will not have too much of a chance surviving, considering there's still a Valkyrie on the run, and he still has a C4 in his pocket. And he's also expecting someone to be on the lobby side. That is scary, Reed.
All right, Shmari, at the moment, he's waiting for an opportunity to strike, maybe to kill somebody who is out on those rappels, as you mentioned. He's also got access to that C4, possibly. The problem is there's somebody on the long rappels. Damantas, he gets the kill. Shmari goes down. And that's so important, because now one of your plant denials is gone, and the player who can contest the players on rappel is gone. And with 35 seconds, Myth now should have one more smoke, maybe. No, Leon used them all. So no utility to try and go for an execute. They're just going to have to do it like that. They pop an extinguisher, and that might help them with getting in. Venoms is now in the building, but he has to prone in a corner. He does find the kill somehow. Tries to go for the plant, gets shut down by Cheetah, and now in the 2v2, Myth not in a good position to put this plant down.
That's for certain, but at the same time, I do wonder, why did they not have anybody on square door? I just realized, because if you had that, the smoke was not supposed to be so aggressive on that position, and now Zofia on so low HP on the objective, and with the diffuser, there's not much they can do. Even though they have a knock available and alive, there's not much things to go for here. Nice attempt from the attackers though, but somehow they had decent map control, they had decent map how do I put it, man advantage, but kind of they kind of let it go, it feels like, because again, you have to have someone on square door, even if you don't happen to breach it, or maybe put someone on the stock windows, so that nobody can contest on the janitor hallway. For some reason, that's the only thing they missed, and yeah, that's gotta hurt. 2-0 as Myth is starting to lose ground
Attackers need to
here, and
locate and
they have
defuse
to make
any
it happen
bomb
here on out.
located.
Otherwise, chances are very high after the second ban, it's gonna be too late.
All right, is this the early nerves? Is this just Myth not being able to find their way into the game early? Do they stabilize? Do they maybe find some footing later on? Or is Freakret just going to roll over them on their own map pick? At the moment, it's looking like Freakret is comfortable on their defenses, and Myth is still trying to find a way to deal with a lot of these things. And Freakret's confidence and I think their aggression is really what's paid off for them so far. It's gotten Shmari punished once, but other than that, I think they've gauged it really well how much they can get away with. And the question is, do Myth fine tune to try and counter that out in the next coming few rounds? And now's the best opportunity because the first two bomb sites were won. Now Freakret have to go to the tertiary, they have to go to the first floor, and this is the most difficult bomb site usually to win because the other two that you want to go to are already locked out and you can't go to them until next round. So you have to settle with whatever is left over. And Myth now have a very good idea of where Freakret should be. They should have a lot of time, especially in prep phase and in pick phase, to be able to discuss what they want to do, how they want to take the map, how they want to approach this. They know bomb site's going to be on first floor somewhere. And now the question is just how do they deal with Freakret's early aggression and how do they deal with their roams?
They gotta find their own priorities, that where do we start the things from. We have to make sure that wherever our entry is coming from, we are getting inside the building safe, and then we proceed for our execute. Problem is the execution doesn't quite happen. Most of the time the players of mid are being taken off before they even start the execution. Look at that, the reads are just way too precisive as it seems, because last time, yeah, the Ella was able to get rid of a Ram Boogie, and now also having some information. I don't believe it was a confirmed information onto the Ash, but having information on the Ash, that's also, or to that particular hallway, I think electric, that's what you call it. It's still an edge above your opposition. And now, considering you're playing on a 4v4 situation, losing the Deimos and the Glass early on, that's gonna hurt. But hopefully on the side of the attackers, they have some answers as they were able to slap back. And now, Dokibi having control of it. Oh boy,
Leon!
good shots from the side of Dokibi. Now 1v2 for Cheetah. I have to admit the cause might have been there. Maybe he heard the footsteps, something. But boy, oh boy, the C7E, after the buffs of that gun, as you hold that gun a little bit further from the previous season, it is a monster of a gun now. And now Cheetah has to be a monster of himself. He was the same thing. He was a monster yesterday, but pulling off a 1v2, it's not going to be the easiest of its cakes, but it'll have to do.
Leon decides he doesn't want to wait for the swing of his opponent. He's just going to wallbang him and just shoot him straight in the head. That's an important pick to get, as the mid round of this was very, very chaotic. It starts off with Myth getting one. It's an immediate fight back, and then after that, it's just all hell breaks loose as the rotations are getting caught while Myth are actually losing players. So now Cheetah is locked into a corner. He's all alone. He's getting chipped away at, and there we go. Leon, he will finish the job that he started. And that's Myth's first round, and I said it before, Cresto. It comes at the perfect time. This is the tertiary. This is the one that you want to win. And now Myth, maybe they can find some momentum. Maybe they can find a way into this. Maybe they can break the confidence in the cycle that Freakret have had up until now.
Absolutely. Considering now they also know how their opposition plays, they should be able to expect what to come on the upcoming round. So, with that in equation, I do believe they're gonna be having a better opportunity to counter their play, and they probably will have a much more strategical approach. Because again, the previous two rounds, which has been lost out by them, were because probably not having information whatsoever. And now with that on the board, I see a blitz being brought out. So maybe they just want to go hellblazing, but at the same time have the cover for themselves. Blitz and Monty or any shield operator is are operators where you can be a lot more forgiving when it comes to aggressive plays, because you can be shot back. You cannot shoot back either because of the new changes to shields now, but it's a lot more different, if I might, considering the fact that yes, shields do not injure people anymore. They just stuns them and downs them. By down I mean just dropping them on the floor. So approaches are different, but at the same time that does allows the players to at least have more values from the shield players, because you are sending them to be living, breathing drones, and who can also technically sabotage the players and have your own opening, have your own map spaces. But as it seems, the players of Freakret, they are still not very afraid of it. Of course, they don't know that there is a blitz, but they are opting to go for a much more standard defense as we have seen before. Considering I do see that the Chanka here again, I do expect him to extend from back of the objective or maybe from vault as well. But what I do not expect from the side of mid is going in blind, or maybe if you happen to go blind, make sure those trades are coming.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a change up from how they went previously. Before, Myth would try to challenge directly for gunfights, use actual drones to scout for information, but instead now they're going with the shield play. They're going with Venom's and Fluency playing on the Blackbeard and Blitz respectively. And as you mentioned, those are living drones. You can move a little faster because you don't have to drone and then move into the spot. You can just walk forward and, you know, the shield blocks the bullets for you. You act as a live drone without necessarily putting your life in danger unless you miss somebody in a corner. And you can see Venom's is being really careful about those corners. So he clears out everything on top floor, including any lurk positions. There's nobody up there. He doesn't have anything to worry about, but he doesn't know that. He checks for it, and he finds the exact same thing that we do with our outlines, and that is nothing. So Myth, they take a minute, they take top floor, they move themselves immediately onto the second floor, or first floor rather, and now they have the chance to open up some of these hatches. Some Goyo canister still plays to waste some time. There's a reinforcement as well to try and buy Shmari some time, who's playing inside of elevator, and now this is the next step for Myth. They have to try and clear this player out of the elevator position, and Shmari actually drops immediately. So Freakret suddenly a lot more passive and gonna just try and play around Plant Denial in the late round.
Absolutely. They understand that, okay, we have information now, they're playing these particular operators and they're pushing these areas, so it's gonna be best if we just fall back and play from objective and probably have a better retaliation chance from there. But at the same time, the attacker is opening up the hatches. That's gonna be able to open up some plays for them, but at the same time, the defenders, they're never aggressive as it seems, because Shmari is playing a pretty aggressive position here onto Kitchen, and if he goes misdone, considering he is the vigil, that's gonna be really fatal. But as it seems, nobody's focusing on that area quite yet. They have a thermite on the board, which is appreciable considering thermite has 3 exothermic charges now. But as hatches were a priority, maybe a Hibana could have been something, but as long as they're confident with the lineup they have, including the smoke grenades, I believe that might have been a main issue. They're gonna be pretty confident going in forward. But at the same time, because the mute jammers, I believe their ROE sensors are not deploying. I don't know. Wait a second. I think he didn't deploy it yet, because you do deploy it manually now, which I forgot. Shmari, good find coming from him as he finds an opening, and now Solor gets a double, and now Blitz is stuck in an island. There's too many players to go for, and now it's all up to the American operators, the Blackbeard and the Thermite. Needs to find opening as he needs to find the isolations. Problem is, the Blackbeard is stuck in an island, but he will make an escape. Tachanka gets one onto Thermite, and now 1v3 needs to get the angles. Finds the first, recover the diffuser as well. 11 seconds left on the clock. I don't think he's gonna make it though, but he has to stick. He has to make it happen, and he is going for all hails blazing. But sadly, it is gonna be Lord Tachanka who will put him out of his misery. Boy, oh boy.
That's a crossfire and a half, and it was another Fluency 1v2. Those are starting to get scary for Freakret. You can't leave that guy last alive. That's kind of a concern at the moment, but they close it out once again. Good crossfire Freakret. They win the basement a second time. That will be locked for the remainder of their half, so they've confidently taken that bomb site. That's not one that we're looking for Myth to ever try to go back toward, even if we do manage to have a close match go into overtime. And now, you know, the ball is really in the court of Myth. What do you do with this? You've gotten one round, and that was on the tertiary side. At the moment, it's looking like it could maybe be a 2-4 split, which, all things considered, for Freakret, that's not all that bad.
For Freakret, it's not all that bad whatsoever, but for Myth, it might not be the same case, considering this is, again, their best map, at least from the chat I've just read, and this is the worst map of Freakret, so the numbers don't quite add up here. So Freakret, they were saving the map, or maybe they were saving some strategies or something. That's why they didn't quite show the best plays they could have had. But again, these are just speculations. These are just speculations here. As of now, Freakret are just playing a completely different game, and honestly speaking, Myth are not doing too much of a mistakes. They are going for the drones. They are going for the roam hunts. Yeah, they are not watching the flanks. I can find that out. But at the same time, how many things can you do at the same time? This is a tournament match. There's a lot of adrenaline rush. There's a lot of pressure in your head. So sometimes it's just not gonna favor you whatsoever. But for Freakret, every single thing is aligning, as if the stars are aligning for them, and they are not even showing any form of flinching whatsoever. And now, with the current lineup as well, it feels like they're really looking forward to have some changes, because I did see that Dinar removing the trip connectors to some other direction, maybe to have some longer angles probably, or to have more information. Considering there's a shield already, so I can only expect that he will himself will be playing there aggressively, so he doesn't need to do too much information. But the pings do come in. Nice pings from him. Shmari will be taken out. So finally, the Dromer is gonna be taken out in a pretty quick fashion. And now the attackers, they should be able to go for a side object or side execution. Apologies for the mumbling. And probably they're gonna be able to have a better success ratio considering they have the man advantage.
All right, Shmari, once again being first point of contact. He loves going for make or break plays on the side of Freakret at the moment, and I think this time I heard something break. Didn't really work out for him. Myth get the opening pick, and I think rather rare, but okay, I was about to say, you know, usually they end up giving up that player advantage for free, and they end up losing a player once again, and I spoke it into existence. I thought it into existence. I didn't even speak it out loud yet. Ecox finds that kill, gets down to very, very low HP, but he finds the kill nonetheless, and that puts them back into a 4v4 with some progress being made. Venom's trying to open up that breach. One of the Selmas gets caught on the windowsill, and that'll cost him a little bit of time. He tries to move over, and the players on Rappel right now, they're kind of at an impasse. They don't really have a way to get into this map unless one of the players just peeks and gives them a kill for free, or they just kill Fluency. At the moment, that's a bit of a concern. Fluency almost hitting that shot, missing out on a crucial kill that would have opened up the round, would have killed Tom, gotten rid of him. And now Coded is on the other side trying to play for a pinch. He has a long angle and he finds the kill. Coded once again coming in real clutch for Myth, finds the second kill in the round for himself. Now he moves over to this window to try and connect more players. The problem is Solar is kind of close to this. This might be a pick, but no, Coded once again. It's a triple for him in the round. It's only down to Cox. He found the first kill, but Coxie, you gotta do a lot of work here. You're 1 HP and it's not to be found. Demantas gets the headshot with the SMG-12. It's another Myth round. They break the cycle. They make it 2-3, and now they have a chance of maybe making it an equal half, which, you know, once again, considering it's their map pick, maybe not the best, but it is attack, so a 3-3, I'd be happy with it.
So will I, considering the fact that this time around their approach was way more strategic. Even though the players of Freakret, they have been hyper aggressive, especially the castle going for a double on a peak where two people were rappelling on the window. Boy, oh boy, that takes a lot of bravery. I don't have that, sadly, and that's one of the reasons they're playing it, and I'm just sitting on the caster's desk. I'm just saying. But the point is that the players of Freakret, they do not know when to be scared. They will probably peek everything, and I think the players of Myth understands that, and now they're like, okay, you know what? They play aggressive positions. What if we just get them off guard? Because I know he will challenge me, so what if I don't challenge him first? So it's basically a moment that kill your enemy before he kills you, kind of a aggressive tactic, but then again, it's working, and that's something they'll have to focus on. As we head into a open area defense, it do feel like that they will have a pretty decent chance of taking it, considering they were able to do that previously thanks to the Dokkaebi. I believe it was EON. But this time around, I do expect the RAM to be a bit more viable, considering the verticality was really not in play that much, considering Ella and I believe Smoke was on top floor. So the main target for that defenders, however, is, at least from the looks of it, to hold the attackers as much as they can, because they have been playing Melusi and Ella and Denari, but at the same time they were able to get some values as well, or maybe to some extent they were just going in for complete head-on gunfights. Yet again, Fluency starts things off from the window. Oh boy, 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 we have been here before, come on! Oh! But this time around it's gonna be Shmari. He's like, you know what, I don't want the boogie anymore, I want the RAM, and he will pay the price for it. Well, guess what? I think 2 seasons ago, it was nerfed that if you jump from any ledge or if you happen to take a vault as well, you will be pushed out of your ADS, and that's why jump runouts are not that much viable. Even though with Ella's SMG, considering the RPM and the hip accuracy, you still would have gotten some luck, but this time it's not the case, as the Smoke is going to be the first line of contact for the RAM.
Right, doesn't manage to aim down sights with that change to the vaulting, and since the release of Siege X, right, Shmari once again goes down early. He's been making more of these plays, and now Myth are starting to catch on to it. They're wise of his tricks, and it's not really working out for him. But once again, it's Myth in a 5v4 advantage. That usually doesn't last long. They really want to get rid of one of their own players, and Demantas is the one to go. It's just always the same thing. Myth cannot hold an advantage to save their lives. They really need to throw it away. So Demantas challenges a 1v1 onto Tom. Tom wins it out with an impact grenade. He doesn't even have to finish the job with the P90 in hand. And that's an important kill to get. You get rid of the Deimos. That's the one that could track any roamers, anybody who's trying to lurk around. And that's going to make it more difficult to catch people. There's still the fallback option of Dokkaebi. There's one more phone call in the pocket of Leon. He can use that later on. But that's not as reliable because you need to be around the phone calls to be able to hear them. Coded, still on a heater, gets himself another. Fluency wants to pitch in as well. Myth suddenly in a 4v2 advantage. So in the mid round, they find important kills as Tom is trying to fight back, finds one more for himself, and that leaves Solar and Tom to try and clutch it up for Freakret in this round.
I do feel like that they're going to be focusing a little bit more onto the archive side, and I guess it is going to be the case after all, as he's as the Solus also goes down, and now considering the Denari on the side, and now as the phone call also goes off, it's going to be difficult but not impossible. The timing needs to be there. Solar has been a man, the myth, the legend of the previous game, at least in Fortress, making back-to-back plays, but this time it's not going to be the case, as he will be read like an open book by Coded, as he indeed is sitting right next to a heater, or maybe he is the heater, as he is fired up and running 3-3 in no one's favor, as Freakret is going to be heading into their attacks.
Tom is playing the mental game with Damantas at the moment. I don't really know if that's working out for you. I don't think you should type after you just lost the round. So, Myth, they move themselves into the second half at a 3-3 split. This is a good recovery. Once again, they started off really slow. I was really worried for Myth that they weren't going to find a way into this match, especially considering, you know, once again, this is the map pick. This is the one that Myth should win all day, every day. You got to pick this out of the entire pool. So, if you're not confident on this map, I don't know which map you're confident on. And with that being said, 3-3 split going into the defensive side. You know, Myth, maybe this is their more comfortable side. Maybe they prefer defending on Bank. It's a big map. You can play very adaptive around it. It takes attackers for ages to clear out certain places. It takes a lot of utility and a lot of information work to get rid of players if they really want to entrench themselves on places where they shouldn't be in, at least according to the attacker's perspective. And with that being said, Myth, they start out also on the basement. So a similar play. Once again, the mirror is banned out, but they choose to start basement anyway. And all the other bans are shield related because that seems to be a theme at the moment in Siege.
Probably is, because there have been occasions where people just dives inside the objective, and or maybe in any other area where they will not be punished for such aggression. It also applies to Clash, considering you can go to places where you should not allowed to be. So it makes a lot of sense. The players want to have the flexibility that, okay, we're just playing guns here. The only two I think two more shield operators are left, which is like Blitz and Fuse, if you count that shield as well. So that is gonna leave some room for shield plays to be available, unless you also count Osa, I just realized. But I guess they'll just want to take the gunfights head on, and that makes a lot of sense because they have some utilities to go for the gunfights and at the same time to deny the plans. But at the same time, I want to see Shmari just driving inside the objective as if he's an F1 driver for some reason. Hello, how is he allowed inside the objective, and how is he allowed inside the server? And if the warden doesn't know, he's
they have no idea.
He had none, and now he's 1 HP. Hopefully he does left to tell the tale, but I don't think Dokkaebi is going to be standing here anymore. He knows that he has done enough damage, and now Fluency is hesitating to go for any form of aggression. And now Soul will be applicable for the Cade. My lord, he's getting the 1v1s he's not supposed to get. And now Cade with 1 HP to his name. He better be staying alive, otherwise this is a very huge lead for the attackers before even the round technically should have started.
Oh, you gotta hit those. Coded finally finds Shmari, and once again, Shmari, he's in early. He wants to be part of the opening engagements. He wants to be make or break plays, and this time around, he does get rewarded a little bit. He takes Fluency down. He takes basically all of the health away from Venoms with no way for Venoms to heal, so he's gonna be 1 bullet, 1 shot for the rest of the game. He could probably die to a flashbang being lobbed at his face, so if Cheetah ever gets in range, there's a chance for him to do that. Other than that, it's somewhat of an uneven exchange. It's still a 4v4, but the health on Venoms begs to differ, as Freakret now have a lot of time as they get themselves in and try to open up those hatches, but that time can be compensated because guess what? The Tubarao is still up.
Tubarao still up, and the Tubarao is making full utilization of those Tubarao canisters, the Zoto canisters, as he's trying to another time, but the last one was an oopsie. Well, it happens to the best of us because he wasn't sure if that's going to connect to the position. The crosshair placing something, but anywho, at least he was able to burn some time. With now with one minute left on the clock, the attackers, they should be fine going in for the execute, but at the same time, the defenders do have ample amount of utilities to fight back as well. No 2 C4s available and 3 toxic babes as well, as the attackers try to go for the plan, and now the timing needs to be there. The toxic babes will be exploded. I think it was exploded, but I think it was the Zoto canisters which kind of denied. I'm not sure if it's the case, but Zoto canisters do have the tendency to jam jam its own teammates' gadgets. And now Coded goes down to the C4. I mean, sorry, it's Tom who's gonna be going down to support C4. 3v3 situation, needs to go for the hat someone to get some control onto the top floor. But problem is that it's still a very wrong haul, considering you have to take the gunfight first and then you go for it. Time is ticking, not your friend anymore. As the defenders tries to go for the retake, a lot of pressures there, but the Hibana's expecting it, as there is covers as well. It's all up to the smoke here, trying to go for a play here, but sadly he cannot make too much of a difference, as the DMR will scream out loud and keep the player, who am I kidding, keep the players of Freakret on the lead of 4-3.
Seeing a DMR in the hands of a Hibana is just so hot. This is every hard breacher's dream. This is such a good combo.
That's what I
But
said.
with that being said, I don't think it's the most flashy part of the play. I think the most important thing here is just getting the plant down. This is such a impossible retake to do. As long as there is an even man count, it becomes really, really difficult because you need basically two people to go upstairs and two people to go on the diffuser. So if you have one more attacker just denying one of those two locations, suddenly you have two people tangled up trying to deal with one person. So you need a man advantage if you want to retake this on the defender side. You can let them get away with a plant if you're confident enough you can get it back. But with an even man count and with not being able to deny the plant, that smoke canister falling short, the C4 coming out way too late out of the Tubarao, it does find a kill, but it doesn't find the win condition, which is winning the round. And so Freakret once again get away with a steal. They open up their attacking half much better than Myth did, immediately on to a win, and Freakret, once again, they put themselves back into the lead, and this is starting to worry me for Myth.
I'm no exception over here, but I think Myth should understand the fact that, okay, our positions have been playing super aggressive throughout the entire series so far, so they will be doing the same thing over and over again, so we better be ready for it. But at the same time, there are a team who tends to change the pace depending on the need, so we better be ready for anything. Let's be very real about it. If they should be more than fine going in for these rounds on their own defense. Because, for example, the Dokkaebi going for a rush, that is something you usually have in your casual games. You tend to have someone on your rank games as well if someone's really angry because someone's probably not calling out or something. But on a coordinated level, the amount of damage that can put up, and that can technically change the pace of the round as well, because you don't even have the retaliation utilities to go for any form of gunfight or maybe anything in general. So with that in equation, looks like the players of Freakret, they are starting things to be a little bit more tactical, but I'm not gonna bite for too long because they can flood inside the objective when the time is dire. As to Barao, expecting someone to push up to him, as there's also players playing onto blue stairs as well. So pretty standard setup, but now time is something they need to burn, and they need to make sure that it goes down fast. Otherwise, they're gonna be paying a huge price for it. The hatches are already open, so no way to contest the servers anymore. So for the sense here, he needs to make a decision that where do I go from here? Do I stay onto this area to flush out the warden, or do I go for the Hibanas to support the Hibana to go for the hedge breaches?
Ooh, Tom throwing a double nade to try and clear the player out of blue stairs, as now Fluency has locked himself into the staircase. Both of the explosives go off. Both of those Vulcans are just going to lock him into place. But that does mean he wastes a lot of time, and the C4 comes out. Fluency finds that pick. It's a 5v3. It's a good start for Myth here, as there's a player now in server once again. I've seen this before. Last round it was Shmari. This time around it's Ecox, who finds himself inside a server, but he won't be rewarded with a kill as Fluency backs off of that fight. And now, actually, it's the Capitao to get punished. It's another player to go down. Cheetah, in the meantime, does find Fluency, but that fire goes off. I do believe that that was not a Vulcan. That was just one of the fire canisters on the map. Yeah, and that gets rid of another player. So no recovery for Ecox. That means no utility out of him either. Those bolts are all gone for good, which leaves 40 seconds for Shmari and Cheetah to find a way into this bomb site. And while they're clearing out, a plant denial utility that's placed down, pre-placed, they still have to deal with Venoms and Demantas, who still have util in pocket. So I think it has to be a deep take into the site. They have to run deep. They have to find multiple kills. That's their only win con here. It's looking like it's going to be a hatch drop.
They have to go for a hatch drop now because they don't have any other option whatsoever. There are 2 hatches and 1 objective to go for. But guess what? There's way too many things happening here. Shmari will get rid of his own teammate here, sadly. But at the same time, I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem, because the players of Myth will have the proper angles and they're going to be a little bit more patient compared to the opposition. And they have finally found their success on their defense, making an equalization again. That is a proof that Myth has understood how their opposition is going to play. They're expecting any form of play at any given time. Freakret, now they have to go back to the drawing board and try to do something a little bit more out of the ordinary because, again, they're an amazing team, but sometimes it feels like that their pocket strategies are something they kind of rely on a little bit more. But I guess here on out, that's not going to be the main case. They will be playing a little bit more team based and take strategical approaches. But then again, I'm not gonna be able to put up too much of a wordings here because I don't want to be a devil's advocate. Because Freakret is a team who will somehow consistently find you off guard.
Yeah, at the moment, I mean, Freakret, so far, I really like what I'm seeing out of them. They've brought some confidence to the game. They've tried some different things. I mean, once again, Shmari, every single round, he's trying to do something. He's a big playmaker, and sometimes it pans out better than other times. I think in this last round, you know, when I say multi-kill Shmari, I don't mean your teammate. But other than that, he's contributed a whole lot to Freakret winning some of these rounds, and confidently too. You know, he does shut down plays, which just completely it's very debilitating when you're on the other side of those, because you basically lose a round without it even being over, and then you have to sit there and just let it simmer, just let it sit with you, and that can be really, really detrimental. So Myth have to overcome that. Myth have to get some confident rounds over the board, or maybe some fightbacks. Maybe they have to like let Shmari do a play and then punish it afterward, maybe recover from mistakes. I think that's really important for Myth to do right now to get themselves back on even footing, as at the moment, you know, they find themselves at 4-4. We've got a close first map, and Tom goes for the opening pick. For once, it's not Shmari involved that early. It's Tom instead, once again, who's also been trying to play a bit of point man for Freakret. He gets one, does find himself traded. Domantas will go down in the process as well. And considering he's on the line, you know, you lose one or two of those scans, but ultimately, I don't think it's the worst player to lose in a 1v1 trade.
That's for certain, because now they're understanding that, yeah, we can punish them for these particular plays and then we can get our momentum back. You did mention that having confidence, having some confidence rounds is going to be able to boost up their momentum and motivation, let's just say. So that should be a priority for them, and I kind of do believe they're trying to focus on that, as they're not going for unnecessary peak whatsoever, even though some aggression is going to be seen left and right, and Cheetah is going to be able to capitalize on coded. But at the same time, there is still retaliations available where they will not allow anybody to take control of Janitor. That is really admirable, but still they gotta have the reads that, okay, where are they pushing from? Where are they having the priorities on? There is players outside of stock, but the main priority, as it seems, is still to be on square side. So all they have to do is focus on that area and try to deny any from utilities to come in and deny any from attackers from taking entry. And as it seems, pretty much every single soul is focused on the janitor door, along with at least the Cade and the Warden is. I'm not sure where the castle is. I believe he's behind the bomb chassis to hold onto the breach. But now, the attackers, they are burning some drones to go in and at least to find some entry here. Hopefully there are no denials onto the Ace's side where he could have been taken out from that entry, so a smart decision from him. But now with him inside the objective and with the Warden below as well, that's gonna be a recipe for disaster if the attackers don't know about it, because the C4, I'm looking at it.
All right, the question is, how's the information game? Can they spot and can they pinpoint where the plant comes down, or if they can, you know, pinpoint a player that's going for it? Venoms, he's down below. That C4 comes out. Does it connect with anything? No, it doesn't. There's no info. It's a completely blind C4. And, you know, as good as it is to have a player below with a C4, it doesn't matter when they can get the plant down and you don't have info. Venoms, though, he pushes himself up the staircase, finds not one, but two, and now he's left in a 1v1 against Solar. Solar, he's playing around the bomb. He's got a DMR. That's the good thing for the long range, but he's getting tagged up. Venoms is finding crucial shots. This is the time for Venoms to come alive. He was 2-7, 1-7 before this as well, and now he's just going to try and go for this defuse. He's just going to stick this. Does he have the time? Yes, he does. The player's too far away. Myth win the round. What a clutch from Venoms. 1v3 and a defuse to boot.
The Warden pulling up a 1v3 out of the hat, and at the same time playing this so smart. That is so good from his side. He understood that because of the SMG-12 control he had, he was able to flush out of Capital out of his comfort zone and pushed him away. Mind you, he had a DMR, he had an SMG-12, one of the hardest guns to control on when it comes to recoil bases, and he was able to tag him up or shatter the confidence they had. Boy, oh boy. And after that, he was like, okay, you know what? You planted behind the bomb chassis. I have full cover. You do not see, you don't get to see my head, and I can just go for the defuse. And of course, for the previous couple of rounds, we have seen the players of Freakret. They have been trying to win both the game and the game of the chat as well. But as it seems, it's gonna be Myth who will be also joining the chat here, pun intended. So they're gonna be able to get the confidence now they were looking forward to, as that clutch will definitely push their adrenalines to I don't know, full charge, and they're gonna be able to bring all the bells and whistles here. And now Freakret, sadly, can't say the same, but I do believe they have what it takes to bring themselves back out of the gutter. But I hope they really do.
You know, I was kind of silently looking over at, you know, the KD ratios and just at the scoreboard of all of the players, because I've been mentioning Shmari a lot because he's been a pivotal part of Freakret. But, you know, he's 6-9. First of all, nice, but
Nice.
second of all, that's not necessarily all that impressive. He's made round-winning plays, but his scoreline doesn't look all that impressive. Meanwhile, Coded is 10-7, and while he's had one or two big rounds, he's kind of been silently getting multi-kills that have really had a big influence for the side of Myth. Fluency is up there with him, and the only one I was worried about was Venoms. He was 2-7 before, but I mean, with that clutch, he cements himself into the round. He contributes his part to bringing Myth over the line. He puts them back into the lead, and from this point forward, I think Myth have all the confidence to close this out. They should win this map. Once again, I've mentioned this so many times, but this is the one to win. This is the one that there's no excuses to losing. Freakret should not be able to pull the wool over your eyes on this one, and it looks like Myth is going to go for a really, really quick play here as the plant is already coming down, and there's a Glass who's trying to vault up onto the copy machine.
He has vaulted up to the copy machine, but the problem is the Blitz is not going to be surviving that as the Diffuser drops into the no man's land, and now they gotta find the openings and they gotta find the frags. They have been trying to play smart. They have been trying to play with these pocket strategies pretty much all the times I've seen them play, but now it's the players of Myth. As I said, they're ready for anything. They are ready to retaliate with every single second and every single setup. And now with Glass stuck in an island, he has to find openings, and I hopefully do believe that Shmari is going to be able to capitalize as he will be able to get rid of that Tubarao. And now go to openings from their side, but at the same time, the defenders, they're just ready for every single action which can be thrown at them. Glass is still stuck on an island, while the Thatcher can definitely rendezvous with his teammate. But the problem is the Diffuser is still in no man's land, and the mute is just making sure that the Glass stays inside of jail. And sadly, there is no get out of free jail cards here, as he will have to survive as long as he can. And please get some frags. We will be seeing Aroni taking some damage, but I don't think he's going to be going for any more peaks, considering they have information where the attackers are located on. Time is a main play here, as it seems, as Thatcher tends to go for a take onto the kitchen side. And as it seems, Valkyrie has full information. So does the Aruni, as it has been dispatched. And now, with the Thatcher on the board, he is inside, but no Diffuser to work with. That's a problem and a half. He does have a DMR, so he can definitely fight back with a couple of players here, but I don't think that's going to be the main concern, as Coded is just playing a completely different game. It's his domain, it's his world, and we're just living in it.
All right, Myth shutting down the play from Freakret. They try a bit of a pocket strat. I do love the gloss on the copy machine. That they had no idea where he was. It was such an unorthodox angle. They didn't even know where to wallbang him. He was completely exposed. He was out in the open. If they had any sort of info on him, he would have just been dead. But he sat there for a solid minute, maybe minute and a half, doing not much of anything except trying to hold one specific sideline. But if there's no other playmakers around to try and, you know, move the pieces into you, if you don't have a pinch going on, it just kind of becomes redundant. It doesn't become impactful enough for him to justifiably keep sitting there. And so Myth, they finally find some confidence. They find the match point that they were looking for. And now with everybody firing on all cylinders, with Coded Fluency, with now Venoms in the game as well, everybody on Myth has been getting kills. Everybody's been contributing. You can see the other two players, you know, Damantis, Leon, they're both positive as well. So everybody contributing their part. And Freakret now have a bit of an uphill battle against them, as they have to win 2 attacking rounds in a row if they want to push this to overtime. Otherwise, we're putting map away one. We're putting map 1 away right here and there.
That's there, and at the same time, they have to also worry about the fact that they have been read like an open book time and time, at least for the last couple of rounds. There have been occasions where they're able to surpass your opposition, but that's not by a long haul. So they gotta focus on how they want to approach this take and how they want to have a mixture of both, because as it seems, Myth, yeah, their aggression is splendid. It's chef's kiss. I'm not going to be able to challenge that. But at the same time, if your opposition reads that, you gotta make sure that you're on the top to keep yourself on top of the leaderboard. But as it seems, it's not going to be the case, as Shmari technically runs inside the building every single time like a headless chicken, and he is going to be punished yet again. There is an IQ right on the corner, but I don't think it's going to be too much of an effort here, as the wallbangs do connect, hopefully, but Tubarao does get to survive, and good God, it still connects onto the Tubarao. He is down but not out. I do not know if there's anybody to pick him up, but if there's not, I would still say that's a lot of damage which has been dealt by the attacking side, and they have also found the success as they are free to go for a take onto the open area side, open up the hatches, and probably if they're feeling comfortable, go for server, go for any other objective, and then go for the head-on take, because that's the basic thing you gotta take care of, and then you proceed with the extraordinary and the advantages stuff. Dance stuff.
All right, hunting season is open. Tonight's menu on the dinner is going to be coded as he gets viciously hunted down. I mean, there was nowhere for him to go. He was getting yellow pinged. He was trying to run back and forth. He tried to vault through, get himself away closer to that hatch, but it wasn't quite enough. 1-for-1 trade once again comes out. This has been kind of a trend. Either these two teams just have a head-to-head clash where they just keep trading operators, they keep trading players in a direct exchange, or it's a very imbalanced 2-for-2 or 3-for-3 where the game swings back heavily back and forth. At the moment we find ourselves with a bit over a minute to go, some util already coming out and some plant denial being wasted on the side of Myth, as Freakret are trying to dispatch this util before they try and go for a plant, as the Fuser is still in the hands of the shield operator. The question is, will they have enough time to go for a solid execute here, or will they have to try and do something that's a little bit more outside of the box? And you can see Cheetah, he's trying to go for some of these flashes. He wants to deny this. The problem is there's smoke right now that's denying the play for the rest of his team, so he's on an island over there on that hatch. He could maybe go for a hatch drop, but that could get him punished as well. He's only got one more flashbang to work with, and that flashbang isn't going to last the whole 7 seconds for a plant to come down, as Leon just tries to cut me short on this round, cut me short on the play for the execute, as he just dispatches one of the players, and that makes it infinitely more difficult for Freakret to try and pull this off.
That's for sure. And now with that, the Tachanka on the board, never mind the Tachanka off the board, that's gonna be able to get the attackers to go for the plan completely. And now with the plan on the board as well, on this post plan, it's gonna be a little bit more challenging for the defenders to go in, but I do see some players opting to go for a flank, as it seems, or it's actually the IQ who's expecting that. It's all of the Germans now to fight against the defenders, as the Blitz is gonna be stunned because of the shots being dispatched at him, but IQ needs to be the playmaker here, needs to survive. I don't think he has ammo in his rifle anymore, that's why the handguns need to come out, but I think it's gonna be working out just wonders, yeah, as he finds an opening, but not the second one, but he is down but not out, and now he needs to go for the defusal as well, as the Blitz is trying his level best to make sure that he survives, but the flashbangs do come out, but the defusal needs to come in. There's no time anymore!
There's no time!
This is gonna be devastation to have a Myth there.
Is he even gonna die? Are they even gonna get him? No! Freakret, are you serious? It is a post-plant win with a Blitz just staying alive. Literally just fighting for his life. This was not about trying to deny the disable or anything. He was just fighting for his life. And somehow that buys him enough time for Myth to not get on the diffuser in time. And that means we get to keep playing this game, and we're not out of bank yet. Myth have not won the map.
That's heartbreaking for the side of Myth, because the Goyo was contesting the Blitz, so that means that, hey, he is distracted, he needs to survive, and he needs to keep himself alive first. Considering that's a Blitz, mind you, that's not Monty, that you have to put multiple operators to probably hunt him and then go for the exposure of his body and go for the kill. Not necessarily. You have the diffuser, you could have defused, and sadly, the adrenaline rush of the defenders just paid too much price for this one, and now they are looking for one more round to take this away or push it to overtime. These are rounds which shatters momentum, everything you have built up, it just doesn't matter anymore. And now the players of Myth, they do go back to the top floor, which has been a pretty solid objective for them. But they gotta make sure that it is in their favor. They have to keep themselves calm. The composure is really necessary here. Freakret, they know for a fact that they have breached through the momentum, or should I say how do I put it, through their mindsets. And if they can pick up, that's gonna be devastating, to say the very least, as they have a pretty aggressive lineup as well, considering the line on the board. It feels like they want to take the frags head on and push to overtime.
All right, Myth, now one more chance to try and close this out, otherwise overtime will be on our hands, as Leon just goes for an early fight against Ecox, and he wins it out. Finds that opening pick against the Buck. Ecox goes down. Leon even hit him with the good night. He wants to really make sure that they're winning the mental game, even moving into the other maps. This is a BO5. He's playing the long game. He's already contributing to this, but Solar through a soft wall and a hatch finds Leon. That's some karma for typing into chat, buddy. And immediately, Myth, they had a bit of a man advantage and they throw it away immediately. It's back to a 4v4. Whatever was left of Leon's health is now gone. And there's a track coming through onto the Azami, immediately gets cancelled. They have an idea of where Coded is. They don't want to expose their Deimos for any longer. As now a swing comes through, they know where Coded is. Why do you not expect it, Tom? Coded, he finds himself another, now 13-8. He's still the kill leader inside of the server, and for good reason, because he's finding the right picks at the right time. And this is a chaotic back and forth here in the final round of regulation.
That's there, but I think the
Coded
defenders, they just
again.
have the lead with every single turn. Good shots from him as Solo goes down, and now with the defenders, so the attackers, still having the diffuser, but no utilities to go for breaches, or at least none to go for head-on to clear out angles. This is going to be a little difficult one, but they do have good guns to work with, so they got to go for the isolations and go for the 1v1s. Problem is, the defenders understanding that they are going to be playing complete reset and completely safe. They're probably going to be playing off on the crossfires as well, and maybe just burn some time and keep themselves calm and cozy. As the IQ has information, there is someone below, but he's not going for it quite yet because he is hesitant. Will be doing a lot of damage onto the Azami, but now the Azami understands that, hey, he knows my location, so what if I just exploit it? I'm just gonna run around the map and I'm just gonna burn some time because I know for a fact that IQ's hungry and he wants to take the frag. And now with the nade being dispatched, he understands there might be someone on the soda hallway or maybe inside of the side of janitor as well, but he will be punished because there's too many players to go for. The dive comes in, that's the sense has no other choices. There is the ROE canisters or the ROE projectors which were there to cover him, but sadly not much they can do as the defenders, or should I say the players of Myth, takes map number 1. Mind you, this is technically the best map for the side of Myth and the worst for the side of Freakret. But Freakret putting such a good fight, guess what? It's not necessarily their worst map. They have not won enough, but they definitely know how to play it.
It was way too close for comfort for Myth here. They closed it out in regulation. It's still a 7-5. I think especially having it go out in regulation is going to be a big confidence booster for Myth. They find themselves up one map. This is exactly where they want to be. It doesn't matter about the scoreline now. You just move on to the next map. Just ignore everything that happened now. Learn from your mistakes from the first map, but just let it sit in the past. Focus on the next map. You got to prepare for what comes next. This is going to be a long series depending on how these two teams go up against each other. And I mean, judging just by map 1, this could take a while. So, Freakret, commiserations. This was a good first map, but not quite enough to push them to OT. And instead, we're going to have Myth up 1-0 as we move into map 2.
Yeah, we have to move to map. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be back in the action after the explosive game of Bank. We're going to be heading into Night Haven Labs, and I really hope Freakret has something a bit more extraordinary to take this map because they are an extraordinary team and they have shown how strong their map is, at least on Night Haven yesterday against MYD, and I really hope they can keep up with it. So, what's your thought, Reeps? Can they do the same thing? I mean, compared to yesterday?
Well, I don't know about compared to yesterday. It
All
was it
right.
was a tough fight just in general against MID. They did come out on top ultimately, but I'm hoping to see more of what they brought today. I think that's the most important thing. If they bring
Yeah,
more of
true
what we
that.
saw in Bank, we're gonna have a very close fight, and there's definitely a chance that Frequent end up taking this map. We move 1-1, and we get to see at least 4 maps, maybe even all 5. I'm definitely thinking that this is a close matchup so far. I don't have any reason so far to see a change in that anytime soon.
That's for certain, and I do believe they have what it takes to like push us to the fourth and fifth map as well. Because again, in a grand final, usually whenever it's a 3-0 or even a 2-0, if it happens to be a best of three, it kind of disappoints me because in grand final you expect all the bells and whistles to be in action, and you expect the teams to be at their absolute peak. So at least having one map in their board that creates some exhilaration, which pushes you to have some, how do I put it, um, thoughts of competition or maybe the rivalry and so on. Because if it's really one way linear, it's bread and butter, man. And nobody likes vanilla unless you like vanilla ice cream. That's fine, but that's personal preference. But most of the time, we need some spices, and this is where the spices needs to come. As the spices starts their way with the bands, and just like yesterday, Frequent will be getting rid of all the Electro Boys because they want to have no contention when it comes to the breaches. And at least if the traditions go by what it has been, they have found success with that lineup coming in and the bands coming in. So maybe they will be able to carry on with that momentum from yesterday, probably.
I think it's kind of a crime that a spice is good and as exotic as vanilla got demoted to being the descriptor for something
Hey,
that's
that's just my
bland and
preference, man.
very common. I know it's just I don't understand how from a linguistics perspective that developed because like vanilla is anything but
Same.
vanilla by itself. But it's that aside, tangents aside, I don't know, the fucking linguistics student. I'm gonna shut up. Instead, I'm gonna focus on the game itself. And like you mentioned, doing the same old thing, just being bland and trying to play your own game to perfection. That's something that maybe like a 2018 Empire could succeed with, a 2019 Empire could do. But you know, we're in a much different era, and you can see that with the I'm gonna bring it up just because it hurts me physically. The recent breakup of VP, you could see that they were struggling and they were still trying to do like their old strategies, their very old tactics. As soon as Consulate came back into the map pool, they started playing it, and they started playing it the exact same way that they did, on old Consulate before it got taken out of the pool. Trying to do the same thing over and over again is not just the definition of crazy, but it's also not something that
Insanity.
works with how adaptive the meta is at the moment. Insanity, correct? Yeah, sorry, wrong synonym. I'll get a
No
thesaurus.
problem. We're just fans of Voss actually from Far Cry 3, and he was indeed a legend. But I think the legend, being a legend, needs to be something which needs to be emphasized by the players of Myths and Freakret. So I guess they're going to be trying a little bit to solidify it, but as of now, they are opting to go for a kind of a, how do I put it? Not direct approach. They're trying to get up some map control instead of going for the breaches. Wait a second, they don't have a thermite. They have an ace sensor, which is fine by all means, but to some extent, if you have a thermite, you have a better angle because yeah, ace does open up the walls and you have a better gun as well. But the problem is with thermite, you have a lot more chances to have unusual angles. While for ace, you probably have to use at least two Selmas or maybe crouch through the hole or maybe vault it. So uncomfortabilities, but if you can deal with it, nobody's complaining. And as it seems, attackers, or should I say the players of Freakret, they do have an opening onto the main wall, as I believe there was a mirror set up there. Azami's also right around the catwalks, and he's trying to contest as long as he can. I don't think he's going to be trying to survive, but he will not actually. The moment I was able to say that, so Lauren Shmari able to capitalize, so we're able to get a double here. Will be traded off, but he has already done his job. And now Coded, the man, the myth, the legend, needs to make it happen. But sadly,
Shmari,
there's
man.
just way too many pressure from multiple sides. Shmari is just gonna go for all guns blazing, as he will find it. The first one in the favor of Freakret, as they did not have too much of a hassle to take this, but they take the first round. But again, Myth is known to adapt on the fly, so we're gonna be looking forward into that.
All right, Shmari back on his usual business. He wants to be the opener, and this time around, he gets to survive long enough to even be the closer. Big round out of Shmari, completely breaks open the defensive myth, allows Solar to come in and get himself a two-piece as well, and off of that, really good attacking start. I was a little worried, you did mention it, Cresto, there was no Thermite, there was no Hibana, there wasn't even a Maverick. The last time I saw this map being played here was here in EON, I think. It was in the middle of the playoffs, and the Maverick was a very, very pivotal play between the two teams that were playing for elimination. I forget who it was, but I know that the Maverick was a round-winning piece of the puzzle because every single time they would poke holes in walls, they would cut off sidelines immediately. The pace was just unbelievably quick, and on this map, the Maverick does so much work because you can't go anywhere. You can't rotate at all as a defender the moment
just
there's a
hiding.
tiny little hole in the wall, and Maverick does it as quick as possible.
Well, along with that, Maverick also allows some cheeky strategy. For example, the Glass Maverick trick, where you just open up a random hole and Glass gets kills through that, and that's really annoying to deal with because you don't quite have a counter to that. Because even if you happen to have a Warden who is ready to take that fight head on, you don't know where the Maverick's gonna be burning the blowtorch from, and the Glass will always have a peak of advantage because the wall is getting down to a position where he is going to be picking from, while he will have to flicker on all the map as if we're playing aim labs there. But then again, that's not something we will be seeing in play for the time being. We will, however, be seeing a clash here. And again, Shmari, he doesn't have any form of breaks whatsoever. He just dives in as if he doesn't care. There is no tomorrow for him as he takes pretty aggressive control onto the top floor and moving on to storage side as well. Probably will also head down to storage stairs as he do be showing some tendencies for that, but I do hope that is going to be rewarding him because I love his aggression, I love his gunplay, but I will also love his survivability, which sadly is not that much of a bigger factor. And I think the smoke understands there is someone on storage hallway near the forklifts, and if he tries to survive that, that's a wiser decision. While Tira goes for the breaches there to open up the default lines of sight and then allow his team to go for the default play. But at the same time, because the hatch being open, guess what? Now that's gonna be used against the smoke. Considering that is where your stronghold is. Dokkaebi. Very wise position and very prominent position, but oh boy, the shots needed to connect from the Goyo sadly, but none the wiser. As of now, the Goyo is trying to cover his smoke here, but problem is, I don't think Shmari is gonna be falling back anytime soon. But even though that would probably be the better decision, and now with her on the board, somehow they also go for the hatch drop, as they're just not showing any form of remorse. They're just going for head-on gunfights.
Oh, Ecox is just immediately down on that hatch. He gets himself into Animus. He gets a kill through the soft wall, dispatches one of the players that were trying to double up. So Fluency now all alone on the staircase over on Cargo. He has to start expending his smoke canisters. He has to burn through all three of them with still a minute to go on the board. And there's more players coming around. The Clash is going for a flank outside as the plant is coming down. Is this going to be a plant? I think they're going to be able to stick this as the Clash moves in, but doesn't expect the player to wrap around the other side. It's an absolute slaughter from Freakret on the kill feed, and it looks like it's going to be a flawless round. Freakret, they get themselves another attack, up 2-0 once again.
Good lord, how do you get away with that? He opened up the main breach and then he sent the Thatcher to go down the hatch and then went for the cutoff onto the Goyo. Understanding that, yeah, the Dokkaebi is already stuck there. He is making sure the smoke stays at bay along with the Goyo because now he had a chance to take the gunfight. Instead, he used that information as a prison and he took complete advantage of that. Thatcher going for the drop, understanding that he has map control as well. I believe it was Thatcher though. And then forcing the Clash outside to go for a run out of his own. Boy, oh boy, you can make this up. The players of Freakret, they're just getting in the nerves of the opposition. And as it seems, I believe they have chosen this map. And now I can see why as well, because they are putting up such an amazing player. They just know what and where to do and where to be as well given times. There's not much to there's nothing to complain about from the side of Freakret. While Myth, again, no complaints from their side, but they're just being read by like an open book. And boy, oh boy, they really gotta get something out of the hats. Otherwise, it's not gonna be the easiest one considering the Electro Boys are banned and Ace is still on the run. There's no way in hell they can stop the breaches.
All right. Well, well, you're right about that. There's no electrification. There's no way to stop any of the breaches outright. And it looks like Myth is gonna just lean further into that. They abandoned the idea of contesting the walls altogether, and it looks like Freakret is kind of reading into that because they themselves are not bringing all that much heart breach. They're not expecting to go up against a lot of opposition. They've got some can openers as a backup option just so they have enough to open all the walls that they need, but they're not concerned about getting denied whatsoever. They're just going to open up all these walls immediately. You can see the Aces thrown 2 Selmas already that are opening 2 pivotal walls. Usually you would see those contested. Maybe you would see a C4 come out at the very least if there's no active denial going on. But no, 45 seconds in, all of those walls are open up already, and Myth is just going to try and play around an Azami, some of those Kiba barriers, and maybe play a bit aggressively to try and block some of these players out of the site. As there's already a push coming in, and Shmari will just drop an air jab and immediately back off, as that mirror window is going to be kind of difficult for him to play around. If he gets peeked into, that's not a place you want to be in. And an F-Naught goes off, Cheetah will dispatch it. And that does mean that they know he's in there, might force him back out for a little bit. Yes, it does. And so Freakret, they're trying to push forward, but they're struggling to get into the building here as they're getting locked out on the doorways.
They are being locked on the doors, but the utilization of the utilities they have, the usage, it's just unparalleled because I just realized they used 3 pieces of utilities to flush out the Azami from the catwalk and took control of that. That is so good from their side because the timings need to be pinpoint perfect on these, and they have shown that they are good with it and they are really confident with these plays as well. And as it seems, there are some call outs on the fountain side because I do see the Ash looking on the general direction, but the same time, even if they're outside of the building, they have taken so much
Solar.
space and so much things to work with. Never mind, I'm gonna eat up my own
No.
words as it seems. As the defenders, they will slap back and take 3 kills in quick succession. Now it's all up to the ace and the Grim. Oh boy, that's a bad time to go for a trio own. And I think the ace realizes that, and that's why he's tending to fall back, rendezvousing with his teammate, and probably try for a better approach from any general direction. Problem, however, is that they need to find an entry now because every progress they have made, it's all gone and dusted. It's all up to the Grim now in a 1v5, the world against him. And I don't think it's going to be working whatsoever in his favor. Another flawless run, but it's this time around, it's going to be favoring the side of Myth. Good from their side, and I really hope they can keep this up as they are starting to pick up their pace.
Flawless to respond to the flawless. Myth coming in with one of their own. It's. I think this was a question of just engagements and finding them at the right time. I think Freakret got just kind of dealt a bad hand with every single engagement that they fought, and Myth just kind of had an advantage every swing they went into. Just seemed to favor them in terms of timing very slightly, and Myth just hit all their shots. Sometimes it's just that slight advantage, and when you're on even ground, you being the one hitting your shot first, that's what it comes down to. So Myth, they get themselves the first, they stabilize a little bit, but they're already down 2 rounds on the defender side here on Nighthaven. That's not necessarily where you want to be. So we need Myth to put up some tempo here. They need to rack up some rounds. Otherwise, a 3-3 or even a 4-2 for Freakret would be devastating, and that might mean that we could equalize the map score very quickly as we move into map 3.
I do believe there's a chance there is at least a fourth map is going to be on the equation. I'm not sure which map is going to be taken by Freakwood, but the way they're playing it, it does show that how confident they are when it comes to taking approaches, even if they're just going in blindly. And honestly speaking, at least the matches I've seen them play, or in my experience, they have kept that consistency and in a pretty spectacular fashion. So that is their comfort zone, and I'm all in for it because there's a lot of teams who tend to play a little bit more passive, which is very admirable by me because I myself used to be a passive player at least on given times. So that's there, but at the same time, the element of surprise is something which always gets the enemy off guard, and I think Freakbet is using that as the most lethal weapon as for their own on their roster. Apologies for the mumbling because I'm having a cold, but anywho, the point is the players of Freakret, they tend to kind of overthink at some extents, but I guess this time around they try to make sure that they're not going to be allowing any form of entries because I do see the Mozzie on the top floor. The read is there that they do expect people to take entry from IT or maybe from the briefing room as well. And if that's the read, that's pretty much pretty accurate here because the Blitz has made its entry from the hatches of Kitchen as they make their way onto the stairway of Exothermal. I do believe they're going to be seeing some form of retaliation, but how much is it going to be considering there's a blitz on the run? I do doubt that.
Right, the gridlock gets spotted. Some of those default cams are allowed to stay up long enough to relay some information. Freakret kind of giving away where they're approaching from. The question is, does it matter? Because they've got a blitz to try and push into this. So Leon, no matter if you know he's there or not, you're going to have to deal with this blitz one way or another. He manages to fall back without getting caught out. None of the flashes from Ecox connect. So he falls back down. There's still a minute and 40 to go. Cheetah at the moment very slowly trying to approach the main breach. I think he might have opened it and then walked away to try and sneak back so that they maybe don't expect him. But
timing.
Coded, speaking of not expected, Thomas not looking the right way as Coded takes him down. Dematis finds another ADS from Ecox. He gets punished by Leon as well. Suddenly, it's another 5v2. Myth has found every single kill. Here comes the push in. Shmari with the FAMAS trying to find some shots, trying to connect something onto Leon, who is now down below half HP, but it looks like Shmari will be forced to back off as he's getting tagged up as well. He's forced up the staircase, has to try and deal with Coded, who at the moment is not peeking. He's just waiting for a bit of a jiggle peek. He's got it set up and ready. He's just waiting for info. He hears the sound. Shmari goes down. Cheetah finds one. It won't be 2 flawless rounds in a row, but I think realistically, this is just damage control. This is just saving face. Cheetah, he's outside. He's got 45 seconds. Yeah, he might be on the thermite, and he was trying to set up for a mid-round play to maybe punish, maybe not having them expect that he's here, but now he's gotten a kill. They know exactly where he is. He shoots. They just have information on him live. He doesn't have access to diffuser either. He doesn't have vert control. There's nowhere safe for him to plant when flashbang comes out, and I mean, there's just no way for him to recover this. Myth is way too far spread out. He can't go for kills. He can't go for a plant. This is gonna be a Myth round.
It's pretty much given that it's going to be a Myth round, and now he doesn't have much choice, but he can definitely go for a discount tactical timer, but I think that's not the case from the side of them. Freakret is still going to take the gunfights head on as of the Legion, who will go for the cleanup duty, and he will find that, and players of Myth able to go for an equalization, understanding that, okay, our opposition will go for these plays, and we can simply get them off guard. Especially, I believe it was the Soulless, or no, it was the Goyo who got the opening pick onto, not sure exactly who, but right next to the Blitz. And isolating those gunfights were just too good from his side. And yes, at the same time, Myth kind of went on complete adrenaline rush, understanding that, okay, maybe we can go for a little bit of a aggressive approach because we are confident, we are on the driving seat. But guess what? Now it's not the case anymore. Confidence is good, overconfidence, however, is not. So Freakret will be paying a little bit of a price for that, but it's not something which is still fail on the point. Myth able to recover. It's really commendable as of now as they go for a first floor defense. I do believe it's on storage and CCTV. So having a spread onto the top floor doesn't surprise me whatsoever. But what does make me wonder is on the attacking side, there is no operator who can go for verticals dedicatedly. I mean, yeah, Deimos can use the Vendetta to go for verticals, and you can also track the players while they're on the run. But that's not necessarily a vertical operator who can support his teammates in case he falls and someone else can take control of the vertical hose in his absence. Nor, I mean, Sledge or Buck or even a Ram probably would have been something you could have considered, but I guess the players of Freakret are opting to go for a frag heavy take on this take because they do have the Dokkaebi on the board as well, and I'm not gonna be surprised if I happen to see Shmari just getting inside of the objective without any drones whatsoever, and maybe kick off 1 or 2. But even then, that's gonna be unlikely because the defenders are expecting that.
For a second there, when Damantas got stuck on Coded, I was worried Coded was going to blow his head smooth off. Because Coded, I think, was trying to make some holes into the wall, trying to make some sidelines, and Damantas just bumped straight into him after prep round ends. That was just a little concerning. I think Myth got to be careful on your rotations. And Leon now on top floor, they're just kind of doing more of the same thing. You know, it's a different bomb site, and you described in beautiful detail, Cresto, how it differentiates itself from the other bomb sites, but ultimately, I think you're still holding catwalk for as long as you can. That's the main plan. You have Leon sitting over there playing around his Kiba barriers as much as you can. The problem now, though, is that the bomb site is somewhere else, and that allows Solar to maybe contest parts of the map that you wouldn't expect. So he's down here, and Tom is also holding another angle on the vending stairs already. So they're expecting somebody to be in the basement, and they're trying to play for cutoff, but I don't think anybody from Myth is there yet.
There is nobody to be seen as of now because they're taking their sweet time to go for any form of entries. And I do see the Deimos going for a basement take to find isolations here. But that also gives away information to his teammates that where the Deimos might be. So that is a give or take situation. But I guess the defenders, their main target is to just burn time and just play off each other's contacts. Because in the end, it is a map of Nighthaven where you can be creative. You can have your own way to play this. And I guess it's going to be Fluency who will have his way after all. This Cheetah is going to be going down. And as of now, the Deimos, even though he has information, he is hesitant to go for any form of peak. So it's the Fenrir, the ex Chaos Legion operator trying to find a fight against his previous mentor, but I don't think it's going to be the case as he's still very much safe, not quite giving out too much information. But now the Fenrir knows exactly where the Deimos or any grenade operator is going to be as it has been dispatched. Time is not his friend whatsoever. As Icoxy needed to go for a play, but sadly he was the one who was going to have the second casualty, and now the attackers, they're completely stuck in an island. A Solar will be able to get one for himself, but now problem is he cannot get any more. I don't think so because his location is revealed and he is gonna have to take these fights head on. He will be tagging up the Legion, but I think Legion knows where he is as well. And now Legion's just giving all the information he can dispatch to his teammates as the time goes by with 14 seconds left on the clock. Whoa boy, Shmari, nice capitalization on him, but he's gonna be able to survive that, but sadly it's gonna be Leon getting a double. It's also Tom then a 1v3. No time whatsoever. It's the fat lady, sadly, but it's gonna be coded. Nice attempt.
He almost gets
but...
knifed there.
Exactly. Boy, oh boy, good attempt from his side, but sadly the fat lady, or should I say, Gridlock, is not gonna be singing quite yet because it's gonna be Myth who is gonna be going for all the bells and whistles as they look in forward to make it a 4-2. But Freakret, I really hope they can make it a 3-3.
All right, Myth completely just flipping the script on Freakret. It was a good start from Freakret. They even got themselves a flawless, and Myth respond with their own immediately into chaining 3 rounds together back to back. And I mean, in that previous round, Solar, he was in such a compromising position for such a long time, where I was that got my heart rate up. He was just sitting in a spot where both he was at risk of dying, and like 3 members of Myth were very, very at risk, and nobody had any idea because, believe it or not, they don't see the outlines. Only we do. Because we're watching the game. The players don't actually get to see how close they are to each other and how close they are to just getting rid of one another. That was very, very stressful to watch. Ultimately, he does get rewarded with one, but I mean, just the shutdown from Leon. He comes in from an unexpected angle, cuts down Shmari, and then finds himself a second with that deagle. From there, the round just kind of ends. And once again, Myth, they have good control over their refrags at the moment. They have good control over their plays. They're playing dynamically around one another and taking map control very seriously, while Freakret are trying to clear out a basement that isn't even contested. So they wasted a whole lot of time trying to cut off a player in basement, and this has to be a pre-planned play. This was definitely something that they discussed ahead of time where they were like, okay, let's go basement. Let's see if we can cut someone off. And it just doesn't pan out for them. So it's the wrong read to make on your opponent. And that can sometimes be quite punishing. And I definitely think Myth here have the better read on their opponents at the minute. Speaking of, Fluency does find the first pick on the Shmari as well.
That is the aggressive player off the board. And sadly, that's not something they're going to be missing out for too much from the side of Freakret because he is a player who's kind of been a hit or miss because he either gets 5 players or he just doesn't get anything whatsoever. So he is the entry, but the point I'm trying to make is that Freakret is flexible even when he is not on the board. It means that they are just that good of a team when it comes to having a disadvantage, and they can recover from impossible positions. And I guess that's going to be the case after all. But as it seems, it's not going to be the case on this particular round, as Dom gets a double for him, as the diffuser is also going to be in his hand. The ace is still on the IT wall, but sadly he can't do anything about it. And now Tom just doubles down, and he's just getting fragged left and right and center. I mean, sorry, it's the first one. I thought it was Dom. My bad. I just realized the names do rhyme a little, but now it's gonna be Tom who will be going down by Coded, and now it's all up to Cheetah. Get good for 1, but now he needs to find 3 more, including the diffuser, which drop onto the fountain door. And that's not gonna be the easiest one, even though he has the best gun in the game. But problem is, the Fenrir is gonna be blinding him. There's just too many angles to cover and too many angles to be worried about, and he doesn't have any information whatsoever.
He's so blind.
But so much for so much. Myth is going to be able to secure the 4th round as well to keep the lead for themselves. Nice attempt from the side of the opposition, Freakret, but this time it's going to be Myth who will read them like an open book, moving in further or forward onto their attacking side.
Okay, well, this is the map pick that should have benefited Freakret a little more, but instead, Myth get away with a 4-2 split on the first half. They do move on to the attack now, so Freakret have a chance to put up some numbers as well, but once again, this is becoming a closely contested match, and if Freakret want to take this in regulation, they have to find 5 rounds on their own half. Otherwise, we're going to overtime, and we're gonna have a pretty close match on our hands once again. There's also an option for Myth to just put the map away right here, right now, to just say, all right, we know how to play Nighthaven a lot better than you do, and we're making the better reads. And at the moment, it does certainly seem to look like that. Once again, Myth were slow on the map start, but they found much quicker and much stronger into this one. And that has me suddenly worried for Freakret instead of Myth for once.
Well, they gotta do their own plays now, considering that they have the exact same bans from the previous half, so they're not gonna be playing a different game whatsoever. But the lineup and the playstyle is something which may make a difference. We have seen a lot of Scopos from the side of Freakred, and they have found success with that gun, but the biggest factor of Scopos is you have to find flanks because you can put the robots somewhere in anywhere, even in Narnia, if you happen to be brave enough, and then you can go for a flank, and then you can surprise your possession, or maybe just play aggressive, do some chip damage and switch the robot because your robot's already low on HP, while also dodging the headshot, mind you, because if you get the headshot while you're on the robot, you don't get a second life anymore. So that's just one suggestion, but at the same time, Myth, they are on the world and they're on top of the world, and they do seem like they're not going to be showing any form of stopping whatsoever. And considering the Electro Boys are out, again, Ace will be seen very prominently, undoubtedly, because he is the only operator who could have been stopped by a mute. Sorry, cannot be stopped by a mute, and guess what? That's not even in the play anymore. Cheetah is playing the Mira, and I believe just like his opposition, he's gonna be playing the Mira window onto IT Wall to play a one-way angle. But guess what? In order to back the ace up, they're also bringing up can openers to go for any form of unintended breaches. And I guess Ace is opting to go for lines of sight as well, so he can rappel onto the catwalk and maybe get the Azami, because at least that's what I do in my ranked games. So a brilliant opening from there, not exactly an opening, but a brilliant beginning from their side. So Myth, they can probably go for a head-on take, but Freakred, what is going to be their answer?
What is going to be their answer indeed? And speaking of answer, I have a question for you, Cresto. Do you remember what the final ban was on the first half for the defenders? Because I don't remember the
Clash.
Azami getting taken out. Was it
Clash.
Clash?
It was Clash. Yep. It
Yeah, all
was
right. Clash
Clash
was brought
and
once.
for someone I forgot.
Yeah, the Clash was brought once, I think, on Venoms, and it looks like Freakret really weren't a big fan of it, but they left the Azami open for the whole time. And once again, Solar is on the Azami right now. As soon as the half switch comes out, they're gonna bring the operator themselves, so they know how strong it is. And Myth have done the same thing. They take out both of the wall denials first. I think that's very important on this map because that trivializes all of the heart breach, as you've mentioned. The AC doesn't even get countered by mute anymore thanks to those Selmas being independent and not remote activated. They can just blow open a wall regardless of if it's jammed or not. So he doesn't have to worry about it, which means all of the walls get open very, very quickly. You don't even have to rely on a Maverick as much. But that does mean the Azami's up for at least 3 more rounds. And so I think this is going to be the big thing for Freakret to try and keep themselves in this match. They need to get value out of active util like the Azami, like potentially the Skopas who can teleport around. And so they're going to have to try and play to their strengths here and play to their aggression that they brought on map 1 because I'm kind of missing what I saw on Bank.
I guess they're just going for a complete reset here, understanding that, okay, if we want to play aggressively, we can find some successes, but that's just going to win us rounds, not the match itself, because you have to win the war, not the battle exactly. But as it seems, there have been some cheeky plays from the side of Solor, or should I say from the Nomad. It was actually Leon who tried to do something. Well, the attempt was good, was commendable, but not necessarily something which went too well on the long run. And now with the Goyo on the floor, they need to revive him to make it a 4v2 situation. Still a very much lead for the defenders as they have found their pretty solid positioning, if I might, as the pre-fires do come in from the Brava, but sadly not much to utilize from, as the Buck is stuck on the island, needs to find the eye openings and needs to find the shots. Finds it first, but sadly not any reminder. Scopus will put him out of his misery. And nice attempt from the attackers, but I guess the defenders were just ready for everything which will be tossed at them, as they will proceed to make an equalization for this half. 4-3, but at the same time, that's not something which can, like, how do I put it? It can be glorified to that extent because Myth, they had an opening, but they kind of felt like that, okay, what if we try the same things that our oppositions did? What if we try to have something a little sneaky? But guess what? Freakred are technically the principals of that university, so they're probably gonna know pretty much every sneaky plays you're gonna be bringing out of your hats.
Yeah, Shmari knows them all. He's done them all at least twice in the last 20 minutes. So he's got the whole playbook memorized. He's he started up a simulation. He's cloned himself, and he's just virtually running through every single just lurk scenario in his mind. So Shmari, he becomes wise to the tricks of Myth, and as you've mentioned, Cresto, this is not really going to be the winning play for Myth. I don't think that they can rely on lurk plays and that they can play on like an aggressive sort of flank approach that Freakret usually like to bring. I think for Myth now, it's about just brute forcing a solution. I think the best way to do it is to just be coordinated and to maybe approach and just isolate a win condition where you can maybe go for a diffuse plan or where you can just try to isolate a player and get yourself an early advantage, something like that. I think this is what Myth have to play toward. I don't think it's the like late round Hail Marys that are going to bring them over the line, because we saw that didn't really work out for Freakret either. Whenever they tried to push together, they got completely shut down. So Myth have to try something here because they're still in the lead, but this is not the favorable half, and they do still need to find at least 2 rounds to push to OT and 3 if they want to take it outright.
They can try for the brute force as you mentioned, but at the same time, Freakret might be expecting that, and that might not be as rewarding as it was supposed to be. But as it seems, they do tend to start things off from kitchen just like their opposition. But what does raise my eyebrows is that they do have can openers, but none of them has been utilized to open up the main wall. At least that's what I believe for the time being, because if you don't open them up, yeah, you don't have to go through those areas. You can focus on EXO a little bit more religiously. But if you don't open them up, that's free space for the defenders to play from. Yeah, they can still play behind on the back objective from the half walls and line of sight. But the bigger problem is, at least on tank, that is a pretty big objective. Along with the stories, I actually forgot the exact name of the objective. I believe it's emergency exit something. I don't know. So point is that those are angles you gotta take care of. You gotta get rid of to make sure that you have an edge above your opposition, not the other way around. As the Azami is still playing on a vertical angle right above the objective, that's gonna be a problem because yeah, you may have control of Exo, but the Azami can just go in chat and he's gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna ruin this man's entire career, and he will find complete success. I do see an Animus opening, so that does make me happy a little bit more. And yeah, there you have it. The wall is indeed opened up, so they do have a chance to go for the contestations, but the Mira, oh boy, that was an unnecessary peak, Shmari. I know the adrenalines are still pumping, man, but you gotta be careful as there's more people who wants to live up to the legacy, as it seems, because there are people who is looking very happy to go for the peaks, but as it seems, the Blitz has already made its way to the objective. He can't simply turtle this, and I think the defenders have no idea whatsoever. The plan's going down. What's happening here? Tumosi is going to be able to get one, but the refrag does come in, and now the plan's also on down and out. And with that, Blitz will be going under, but guess what? The Blitz has done his job already. So the remainder can chill out. But wait a second, the refusal is coming in. The attackers, you gotta go in. What is happening here?
Oh, Tomatoes!
And the second as well. Good Lord. These are just way too close for comfort. I was like, okay, there's nobody to be seen in the Exo, but hopefully there was someone outside the main breach. Boy, I have heart issues. Don't do that to me.
Terrifying. It's a good execute and it's a really good diffuse plan for Myth, but that post plan was that was a little scary. I don't think you should allow him to sit on the on the disable that long. But Myth, they get it over the line. Exactly what I mentioned. Don't try to go for these lurk plays. Try to push together. Try and see if you can isolate one guy and then go for a plant. See if you can isolate a spot where you can plant safely, where you can at least keep your gun down for 7 seconds and just look at the floor, type in those numbers. And that works out perfectly. Myth, they win themselves another round. They once again extend that lead to 2 rounds, and they find themselves up at 5-3. This is a prime position now to take themselves not just onto match point, but ultimately onto a 2-0, which is a devastating blow in a BO5, because that means Freakret are going to have to win every single other map that is in this matchup, every single other map that could be available. Otherwise, Myth are walking away with everything here on EON.
Well, Myth are showing that confidence now, and as it seems, they want to do just that, as you said. Freakret trying to contest that, but for the time being, they're just being outdone. They're being outsmarted, and that's something they're not comfortable with. They can definitely have a chance on the third map, but again, this is a map pick they chose, and again, I know how strong they are because I've seen them time and time on this map to show and flaunt off their skills. And as it seems, still want to be aggressive. I do compliment that, but that could have been so much more messy. But this time around, it's going to be coded. The entry fragger taken out, so they can have a little bit of a breath of fresh air here. So probably they're going to be able to go for these fights head on as well. Considering this is a first floor objective, now with the walls being opened up, they can definitely fall back to the objective in case they want to contest from below. Oh, one side, it's actually the basement. I forgot that they did not win that, so not necessarily the case. So the attackers, they'll have to burn some more time considering there is still a Scopos at large. But the biggest problem of droning a Scopos is, yeah, you may have droned him out, for example, but he can simply switch the robots and just fall back to the objective. That's no value whatsoever. And now that I think about it, Scopus can be an interesting replacement for a Vigil, but for now that's not going to be a concern anymore because he is taken out, and now the attackers should be fine going in for the execute. But guess what? There's still a Denari at large as he's able to take him out as well, the Buck. And now the attackers, they're kind of back on a drawing board yet again. They have map control, but at what cost?
Right, Ecox managing to take out Leon. It's a man advantage back in favor of Freakret. For a short second, it looked like it might have been equalized by Myth, but no, Freakret maintained the advantage, and they're now playing to their strengths as well. They're not discouraged by the scoreline. They're not discouraged by being down a map, and so they just, Tom gets down the first one, and he might have gotten traded afterward, but it's good to see that he's still getting into these opening engagements. It's either Shmari or Tom that are always involved first with Freakret, and you can see that that consistency is still paying off. He's not scared of taking a fight. He's not scared of just pinning it onto Myth and putting it into Myth's side to try and do with that aggression whatever they want to do, because there's no real counter. And speaking of counter, Solar, what is going on? What is this fight? Solar, he's 1 HP, manages to take Demantis down. That's a kill you have to secure. He's so low. The Valkyrie getting away with murder here. And Venom's all alone, 1v3. He's got a mirror window opposing him. He punches out one of the two Black Mirrors, but now he has to deal with the other ones. Cheetah goes for a wide swing. Freakret win the round, and that's a bit of a slip. I don't think you're allowed to do that, Myth.
That's kind of an oopsie and I have with that potato fist from Ram because I was really really confident that the Ram's gonna get the kill because the angles were proper. The hatch opening was really on point, and at the same time he had the proper angle. And sadly, the potatoes are really on a discount as it seems on the departmental stores. And sadly, he bought quite a lot of them, and well, that just happened. But anywho, Met is still sitting on a lead of their own, and now they're heading into the second phase of the ban.
There we go.
So there you have it. They heard you loud and clear, buddy. So as Azami is off the board, that does leave the players of Freakret to play Clash, but I don't think they're gonna be utilizing it to its, at least not planning to do so, because they're not struggling necessarily. There have been rounds where they could not answer back, but this time around they can definitely just fight back with their gunplay, and they have found success every single time, especially when the oppositions are on off guard. Now with that on the board, Myth going for a top 4 take does make a lot of sense, but I do see the Ying on the board, so which is also an indication they want to go for an aggressive approach, which is commendable. But how do you want to take this? Again, Freakret will probably expect any form of aggression because they are the masters of it. So you have to outsmart them and then go for any form of take. And while they're outsmarting them, make sure you're not putting yourself on a position where you're not gonna be favor. It's not gonna favor you whatsoever. I guess they heard me loud and clear here through the caster's desk because I do see that Ying being switched for a Twitch instead, while the Capricha will be opting to go for a Thermite. So it feels like they're going for a complete overhaul. Maybe they were expecting a completely different objective, probably. So having a double hard breacher on this board, it does make a lot more sense in my opinion, because now they can nullify a lot of angles which could have been played by their defenders, and now they're going to be having a lot more chances to fight back and a lot more unique angles to clear out.
Right, Solar, early on, once again, just trying to go for a bit of aggression. Got some other players of Freakret now in the mix. They find themselves with a bit more confidence after that previous round win. It's a bit of a slip up from Myth, who now have to try and recover. They're still 1 round ahead, but how much is that worth going into the final couple of rounds of map 2 as we find ourselves still on Night Heaven with another closely contested match? I mean, the most confident win that could come out here is a 7-4. So at the very least, it's once again both teams putting up rounds, putting up numbers. I'm expecting this to be a close struggle. Even if this ends up being only quote unquote 3 maps, I think it's going to feel like a lot more than just 3. And for that, Myth would have to close out the deal. And Freakret are still in the midst of this match, so I don't think we can count them out just yet. They've only got 1 round to equalize, and at the moment they're just trying to play passively around the fact that, they don't want to get picked off early. There's some clutch drones coming in. One of them gets taken out. There's already walls getting opened up, and Myth is slowly advancing. The question is that pace fast enough? And do Freakret have something up their sleeve to maybe punish them later on?
We'll have fun something, but at the same time, there's a factor of caster's curse, because sometimes whenever we say there might be a clean take from their team XYZ, and instantly we have to regret our words after that map ends, because somehow the opposition just gets on an adrenaline rush and makes the impossible plays, and they just makes themselves look like gods of the game. And looks like this is gonna be the case after all from the side of Myth, as with the handgun, Williams able to take out 2 players, and now
Wow.
the players of Freakret, they're struggling here. But as it seems, Myth, they have found the confidence, they can go for the plan, as the Scopus is nowhere to be seen, pretty distant far away, but the Nomad definitely took the entirety of his team and just made sure that, okay, you know what, I'm gonna take you guys on a ride and just stay with me on my back. And he was able to find success. I mean, the ARX is a gun which is not necessarily the best for multi kills because the 20 round magazine, but hopefully she does have the I guess it's a para 92. I think that's Caveira's gun. I forgot the pistol's name. It used to have a scope back in the day. Now there is an option for Nomad, so that does allow to have some form of retaliation, let's just say, or backup, because it was not really favorable back in the days. But anywho, so with that on the board, Myth is sitting very comfortably on match point on the second map. Freakret, they are up against the wall, but again, they are known to kind of make comebacks here and there. And again, my buddy here did say that we may see something clean. I may be expecting something of a caster's curse. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to do I'm trying to unjinx here, man. So with that on the board, we are going on to top floor again with a Mera and a Goyo again. Pretty much a same lineup we saw. Maybe we had a. No, you know what? I take it back. I think it is a near identical one.
Not the counter jinx. Trying to unjinx my jinx. I don't know if that's how that works. In any case, I mean, you know me. I'm already decisively on the side of Myth. No caster bias whatsoever. Definitely very neutral reporting. I'm not at all picking a side here. But I do think Myth, I mean, at the moment, they've given us a very shaky showing on Bank, which should have been a more confident map for them, but they did win it. And I think that's the most important thing. They won map 1, they're on match point here, and they have 2 opportunities to close it out here again. So at the moment, they're certainly ahead. They find themselves in the lead. The question is, are they able to hold on to it? Does Freakret have something up their sleeves? Do they have some more aggression left in the tank? Do they maybe have some opening picks out of Tom? Maybe some round-winning plays that we saw from Shmari, who I mean, he's gotten a 3K in the very first round of Nighthaven, and since then he's been kind of quiet. So, Shmari, one of the players that has to contribute in terms of kills on the side of Freakret. There's a lot of things that you can contribute to the team, even without fragging, especially when you're in a more passive, more support-oriented role. You need to get those walls open. You need to make sure you give the right comms. You need to enable your fraggers, and you need to allow Tom to just do his thing. But when Shmari isn't alongside Tom getting those kills, that leaves Freakret heavily on the back foot. And so they just need to make sure that they have everybody playing to the best of their abilities and they don't allow themselves to get shut out by a Myth who, once again, breaks double digits first. Leon is the first one to find himself on 10 plus kills.
This is my 2 cents, but sometimes I feel like frags are just a very small part of a bigger picture, because sometimes there are players who didn't do anything whatsoever, but he has called it out for his entire team. For example, the IGLs. There is a lot of times the IGLs are not fraggers. They're usually support players, the thermite players, or the people who just plans the diffuser. But still, they are the shot callers who tends to technically on paper clutch their rounds, because they are just telling the location of the opposition to make sure his teams are going to be on their top. And there are some professional teams I remember who used to make sure that we're not going to kill their IGL first. We're going to let him live. We're going to let him play. Because the moment he dies, yeah, he's not playing anymore. He's just going to call it out. And he is going to be an annoying person, even though he is dead. But I guess it's going to be Dome who's going to live up to that annoyance, getting a double kill of his own, even though he's on a slither of an HP. And you said it, he is also going to be there to join up on the double digits because he can. And now moving up to the objective take. I do believe that they have drones to go in for and get some information to find the proper positioning of the defenders and then go for executes. But I do respect this pause from their side, a reset to get information and get isolations. And guess what? Shmari is also off the board.
It's a 4v2. It's only down to Ecox and Cheetah to try and bring this back. Cheetah goes for a wide swing, does find Demantas. He goes wide even further. He was completely exposed to Breach there. Gets lucky. Nobody was there at that moment. But now there's a wide swing coming through. Coded goes all the way around the outside, finds him. Ecox, he's in the middle of a smoke and he can see through it, but he's still getting tagged up. And it looks like it's not going to be any more rounds on Nighthaven. Myth win the second map as well. They go up 2-0. And we move on to map 3 with Myth potentially finding themselves on serious point very, very soon.
Well, they kept their composure and they played this calmly and they were confident even when the oppositions were aggressive, because there have been occasions where they were able to isolate the gunfights and then they went for a complete pause. The silence is what should scare you, that, okay, 1 second, we have lost some players, the defenders or attackers, as a matter of fact, But the opposition, wait a second, where they're not capitalizing anymore. What is happening? Where have they gone? Did they just disappear? Did they teleport? That is very scary because that's the moment you start to doubt yourself. Because pretty much any player of Rainbow Six Siege has this instinct that, okay, my team went down, I have to go for the refrag. The moment you see the opposition doesn't give you the chance to refrag, you double doubt yourself. You feel like, oh boy, I'm gonna mess up because I cannot refrag my team. And now, where is the opposition? Where does he peek from? Do I stay here? Do I leave that area? Do I just rendezvous with my teammate? So many questions, and that's something the players of Myth have capitalized significantly and flawlessly. And definitely, they're going to be sitting on a 2-0. Well, definitely, that's something they do deserve. And I do have to say it because it is a grand finale, you know what I'm saying? But, well, there's no complaint. They definitely has been the better team so far. The third map is on the corner, but what's going to be the answer from the side of Freakret?
Well, that's a good question. For now, we're looking at Myth 2-0. They take away the map pick of their opponents, and now we move back onto the third map, which is once again the pick of which team, Cresto? Which team did pick this map?
I think it
I
is
have an
Myth.
idea. I have an idea who might have picked it. I have an idea. This is gonna be Myth's map, and at the moment they're up 2-0. I'm looking for that 3-0. If it, I'm rocking that jersey, Myth. If you're putting this map away, I'm rocking that jersey again. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We've got another heater coming up because all of these maps really close. Really good fight in the grand finals. This is what I'm looking for. And Myth, let's see if they can take it 3-0 or if Freakrets maybe have a secret recipe with Shmari to try and fight back into it. All right, and welcome back to the EON Series Season 5 Grand Finals. We've got Myth Esports up 2-0 against Freakrets, who fought here from the lower bracket. Myth making a run all the way through upper. I think they did drop one map, and then after that, it was a clean series against Make Your Destiny to get into the grand final. Freakret then played the team that got knocked down, MYD as well, to make their way into the grand finals here. Judging just from those two scorelines alone, it looks like Myth might have a slight advantage. And well, looking at the grand finals so far, it looks like Myth have cemented that advantage. And they have managed to take 2 rounds, and not just 2 rounds, 2 maps in a regulation, a 7-5 and a 7-4 respectively. Not bad, all things considered, but still closely contested. Freakrets, they've got something up their sleeve. They've got something to play with. And I really hope that they can show us just a little bit more before we close out the grand finals with obviously only one team winning, because who else would it be but the jersey that I'm wearing? Because otherwise it would get really awkward.
Well, I wish I had a jersey from Freakret because we could have had a skill-based matchmaking in that case. But sadly, that's not the case. I mean, send me a jersey, Freakret. I'm talking to you. I'm kidding. But they do have a chance, I would still say, because this is a last chance for them. They have an amazing team. They have fought their way up to this bracket. But Myth just have that extra patience to go that extra distance, and they have solidified their position. They are very comfortable. They have all the momentum favoring them, and they just want this moment to last forever. Freakret, however, cannot say the same. As we go into Armory and Archives defense, a pretty standard lineup coming from their side. I just feel as the bans are interesting as well because they have taken out a Nazami and the castle. They want to kind of focus on the openness of lines of sight, and they want to have free destructibility without having any obscursion. So that's a good decision from the side of the defenders, sorry, the attackers. But they gotta make sure that they are getting the spaces in the nick of time, because otherwise Freakret will probably use something else to cover up those angles, or maybe just burn some time because they are on defense as of now. And at the same time, Myth. They have been an amazing team, and as much as I want to deny it, and as much as I want to have a debate with Reap here, I do have to agree with him that they have been a better team on paper. Again, we don't know where the paper is, but it's just a matter of time for Freakret to deny or at least give me some points to argue with. But I'm empty-handed here.
I mean, you're not empty-handed. Tom and Shmari, at the very least, I mean, on map 1 especially, Shmari has put up a really good performance, and Tom, I think, has been very consistent throughout both maps. Freakret have something that does work for them. They've got players who can bring aggression, and they've got a good supporting cast around them who can frag out as well. Solar is a guy who gets very, very quiet multi-kills that you don't really notice much. They just happen in the middle of the round. They kind of get drowned out by Freakret rolling all over Myth, but it is those kills that are really important in winning rounds. It is the team play and enabling players to get into positions to win, to find kills, and to get advantageous gunfights, because ultimately the team play of getting into an advantageous gunfight is what ends up netting you a lot of the kills, so long as you hit your shots. So if every player is just playing their game, is up to par, is hitting their shots, then it comes down to strategy, and it comes down to who can be the better team. And Freakret have shown us a lot of good stuff here. The question is it going to be enough to take a map away from Myth? Because so far they've fallen just short. And we're going to start off with Fluency taking an opening pick, and it doesn't look like it's going to be responded on by Freakret. So Myth already off to a great start, moving from a 2-0 into a man advantage directly in map 3.
The setup they had, the defenders, it was really ambitious, considering there was a whole launch to the lobby as well, along with some open area, the skylight hold. But for some reason, they kind of forgot there is a hallway on east side as well, or should I say the east-south side of the map. And because that was overlooked, the Woma is going to pay the price for that. And I believe there have been some magnets which has been deployed. Otherwise, well, Woma and Legion, there's are some operators who needs to survive to get the best values out of out of the utilities. Sadly, that's not going to be the case anymore, as there will be some casualties from their side as well, as the Capital is going to be going out, as the Dame was trying to find some openings through the vertical angles. Dom able to get one more onto Shmari. As it seems, the attackers, they're not looking for to take any prisoners tonight. They're going for headhunts here. And the defenders, they're kind of in a rough spot here because they need to find information first and then go for the head-on take. They have a good position, but really not something they can sustain in the long run, because the attackers, they're waiting for the perfect moment and they will flood in. Again, the last map we have seen, the attackers do have a fragging capability, but suddenly go silent and not allow any form of retaliation, any form of answers. And guess what? That's gonna happen once again. Fluency, the time's just way too impeccable, and now he will be traded out, but that doesn't even matter because the Warden is hunted from
Cheetah! Oh my god!
Freak! What the hell was that? With the SMG-12, he took the entirety of the opposition back to hell, and good God! What is that gameplay? What is that play? Freakret, that is an impossible play. He just pulled off out of the hat. Cheetah, you monster!
All right, Cheetah, pack it up. You can retire right now. Just leave the server. This is your clip of the year. You can come back in 2027. Wrap it up right here, right now. That is a beautiful 1v3. You said you had nothing to go on for Freakret? How about that?
Yeah, actually, you know what? I do deserve a jersey at this point. It's all me because of whatever I said. They were able to pull this off. I mean,
absolutely.
So that's
using the caster curse to the utmost, just to the pinnacle of its capabilities, to just curse Cheetah into getting a beautiful 4K, a 1v3. I mean, that SMG-12 play, a lot of players have been saying SMG-12 is really, really strong, and they've been waiting for some balancing changes to inevitably come in, but I mean, just proving the point here. Cheetah, he makes it work perfectly well. It's the perfect range to apply that gun as well. And so Freakret, they get away with murder once again here, and Myth find themselves on the back foot on a round that they surely should have won.
They should have won, but at the same time, Freakret pulling themselves together and doing the impossible. And also raising the question, Myth could have planted. They were on an adrenaline rush. They went for the Warden and were like, you know what, we're going to farm some style points. But guess what? Cheetah is the owner of the farm, and he was going to be able to take full advantage of that. And now these are again rounds which may lead you to lose all the motivation and momentum you have. But I hope it's not applicable for the side of Myth quite yet, because they got to keep their composure. But I have to give credit where it's due. Cheetah, amazing play, but he got to keep it up. That cannot be a one-man show every single round. And now Freakret, they're opting to go for a pretty much of a passive take as it seems, because it does feel like that they have map control like previous time, who had extending into east hallway, but at the same time going for some peaks as well. Shmari just never points to disappoint whatsoever.
Oh,
Nice shot to take off Fluence's head, and they're looking for more. He's low on HP, but he doesn't even care. He wants to get the headshots, he wants to get the kills, and he wants to be the MVP. But this time around, it's gonna be Tom who is gonna be going up, but Shmari knows exactly where he has been taken off, so he might be the first line of contact here against this Nomad. He's right in the corner, not quite going for the aggression quite yet because he knows he's low on HP. But guess what? It's going to Smoke, who will be going for a run out and try to get some information, or maybe a frag as well. Wait a second. There's somebody already inside the objective, isn't it? I think the Deimos is already. He's going to go down. And for some reason, the objective was uncontested. And you know what? I kind of got bamboozled as well. I even forgot the objective was on base on the first floor.
oh, okay. Well, Coded was in the site, and then he died, and now everyone's pretending like it didn't even happen. That was there was a chance there for Coded to disrupt the round, but ultimately he doesn't find anything of value. Another player of Myth goes down. Now it's a confident advantage out of the side of Freakret. Can one of the Myth players do the most miraculous thing and just counter whatever Cheetah did in the first round? At the moment, I don't really think it's likely. Myth, they've got 50 seconds to work with. There's still a drone. Leon was on drone there for a second. Damatos has found 2 kills inside of this map already. So he's off to a at least halfway decent start. The question is, can he chain together a few more? Because this is the moment where you need them. Here comes a wide swing, but no, Solar takes down Leon. It's all down to Dom. He's got 30 seconds to try and make this work. There's a Mira window that really doesn't favor him. Just a head exposed from the Mira. Finds the perfect shot, and it is 2 rounds in a row. This one much more confident for the side of Freakret.
Really confident and really collected as well, because their approaches are really smart at given extents and the timings are impeccable. It feels like that they are just going in for, how do I put it, um perfect rumbles, or not exactly rumble, it's like as if it's like I can't even put it on words. Basically, it's just too perfect, and I guess words will indeed fail to convey it. I'm sorry about it. I'm not I'm not smart enough for that. But as of now, Freakret, they understand that they are not going to be able to go for the default stuff. They'll have to go for something a little more of a unique approach, and then maybe go for their takes. And even then, the question remains that Myth, they had objective control again, not because it was their achievement. Freakret left the objective alone, and they were able to retaliate so quickly that the Deimos couldn't even call out that, hey guys, the objective is clear, we can go for a plant. That is a that is a momentum I like to see for the time being. But again, Myth is known. Time and time we have seen that they have lost momentums, they have been on the gutter, but somehow miraculously they just come out on top. And I guess this is not going to be an exception. And I wouldn't be disappointed, even though my co-caster here is definitely will be more happier than me. But that's going to be something I'm kind of looking forward to. As we start things off from the CCTV side, there are some air jabs, I believe, or never, I said drone instead, to spot out the Solus. I didn't know Solus's gadget was buffed to that distance.
Well, the distance is pretty big. The bigger problem is that you no longer see what gadget it is unless you actively use it, which expends your charge. So I think that's the main thing that kind of holds it back, because you were guessing at what it was as well. It could have been a drone in that shelf, or it could have just been an air jab outside, or just some piece of utility floating around outside there, and he would have been wasting his time. And you don't know that unless you scan it, or if you find the gadget directly. And well, he's not finding a gadget; he's finding a head. As Tom takes the head off of Coded, who now finds himself 0-3, doesn't allow any of those phone calls to come through. And now Tom, he might be low HP, but he does manage to fall back, doesn't get himself killed. Now sits in a corner and maybe even has a chance for one of his teammates to make him a rotate. So now he's getting out of dodge as well. He's getting out of danger, and that's a very good start from Freakret once again.
A really good start, and Myth is just having no answers whatsoever to go for any form of map control. They have some positionings to work with, but as it seems, they're really focused on this vertical play instead of going for objectives, which is fine, because on a map of border, you need to have top floor control in any given objective to get an edge above your position. But even then, your approach needs to be a little bit more methodical, because as it seems, yeah, they have surrounded the Mute here, but the Mute has a shotgun, so he doesn't even care if he goes down. He's probably gonna try to get one, or maybe just drop the hatch. And there you have it. Amogus moment, he's gonna vent out of the hatch. And now you have the opportunity to go for a vertical. Oh, wait a second. I do see the silhouette inside a small box. I believe that's a Tubarao, and If the Tubarao can do some damage, that's gonna be devastating. He's still inside there. Nobody droned him out. Solar gets a C4, but I believe they're all gonna opt to play safe instead, as they have a man advantage, including the Soulless, who is very low on HP. This is a wiser decision, if you ask me. So with the back on the board, they can clear out the default choke angles and then allow the ace to go for a window jump in and maybe try onto ventilation, or to try to plan on ventilation. But even then, there are rotations they need to cover. So the defenders can simply play time and play the off guard angles, and they're going to find success. But as it seems, the trades are going to be there, as Fluency and Tom will just trade each other's heads off. And now it's going to be Leon getting one more onto Shmari, who was already low on HP. Now the attackers need to pick up the pace. They have the guns, they have the timing, and they probably have the angles as well. The drops come in, and now a really good position from the Buck, as he has information that the objective is clear. Ace is taking it, while the Valkyrie is pretty damn far away. He will find the opening though, and now the Mute can also go for the rendezvous. The Ace needs to get 2 kills at the same time, 2 different angles, and now sadly he is gonna be C4 and he's gonna be down. Solar will go for the cleanup duty. Really nice attempt, but sadly the Buck needed to survive for just a little bit longer. The hatch drop, in my opinion, was not even necessary.
Well, the hatch drop blocks him into one position to play, and he's exposed from 2 spots that they were closing in on him rapidly. But the advantage is you can just make sure that nobody slips past you. That plant does get secured. It does mean that Myth get the plant down 100%. There's no time for anybody to catch up with the ace fast enough. The problem is if you leave your teammate in a 1v2 in the post plant, it's just really tough for him to do. The feet were exposed while he went prone. He managed to avoid that C4 beautifully, but just the wrong timing on the swing from the Valk also means that he doesn't quite connect that first kill. Otherwise, it could have been, chaining together too. But no, Freakret, they take another round. It's now 3-0. This is, I mean, once again, Freakret, on the first 2 maps, they started out 2-0 both times. This time, they break the cycle. They start out 3-0. So this is the 3rd round in a row. By now, Myth would have been in the game on the other 2 maps. So if we're going off the other 2, this is a much better performance for Freakret already. They're doing really, really good. They have a much better start, and I think it might have come on the back of, Cheetah. I think a lot of that is really off the back of Cheetah's big clutch that really brought Freakret all the momentum that they needed.
That there's no questions about it, and he is really happy to have that honor. At the same time, he's also gonna be leading that legacy to his teammates as well, as it seems. And Myth, however, needs to break that as soon as possible, and they need to be the Mythbusters here. As of now, Frequent, honestly, the lineups are nothing too extraordinary because they have been playing the same lineups over and over again. Same kind of applies to Myth, except for the fact that this time they have a glass, which does raise the question if they want to go for a quick plan onto archives. Because we have seen this strategy working quite well if you have the proper lineups. Now with Thatcher on the board, you can also deny the C4s, which could have been which was actually the only counter to that strategy, because you had to send someone down the servers, you had to send someone go for the C4s over Africa or the dark spot, and then you probably could have countered that. But now with Thatcher, someone has the C4 in their hand, because you can detect where the C4 the gadget's coming from, and then you can probably have an answer to that. And I guess that is the strategy after all. But the only thing I probably would have expected to have on this lineup is a gridlock, so that you can have the grenades. You could have probably. It is. I'm not surprised actually. I was expecting that, and no surprises to see that, because I was saying that Thatcher will be utilized to probably get rid of the C4s, and guess what? It is already a postman in the nick of time. Wamai will get someone, but guess what? Wamai doesn't have any C4s to go for any form of retaliation, or could not even have stopped the plan. And now Wamai and Smoke are left remaining to go for this postman, and now with a glass outside and a ward and a Monty inside the objective, along with the Ying as well, it's technically an unwinnable round, but this is a round Myth kind of needed, and they need to get the momentum back. So if this is a round they can take, and they will take, this should allow them to take some breathing zones to work with. But I guess that's going to be a little bit more easier, because Fluency just has a better angle, a lineup and a half, and he's going to get the easiest 2K of his life.
Right, the smoke canister could have ended up being really, really important for the post plan to try and get some sort of disable going through. Just try and brute force it, see if you can defend your teammate for long enough. But ultimately, I think Fluency with that second angle, with that second approach onto the window, it just becomes really difficult. So really good fast plant from the side of Myth. Not enough denial out of the side of Freakret. I mean, it was just a shield planting with their back turned, you could have easily gotten rid of it if you had somebody with a sight line on it, but the smoke's obviously hindering that. Maybe a warden could have come into play here, maybe a C4 from down below, not enough word control, the disable from the Thatcher. All around good play from Myth. Not enough denial out of the side of Freakret, and no good retake plan. I just think it came out too sluggish. It came out a little too slow, and Myth find themselves there first. And once again, Freakret, they put up some rounds. Then Myth kind of decide that they want to start playing the game. This has been the theme of every single map so far, and it won't be any different here, except that the scoreline is off by 1 round.
There's a lot of things you said which I can't actually say that's what she said. I'm just gonna say that's what Ella said. But anyway, coming back to the
I'm
topic,
saying a lot of sus things today. Don't worry about it.
it's just there, man, because you said it's coming out slow. Anywho, coming back to the present here, man, they have taken this round, so they have a little bit more of a collected mindset now. They should be able to take this pretty well. Considering they also have a blitz this time, they should be able to go for an aggressive take onto the Roam Hunters as well, considering the opposition has a really widespread roam clearance here, or roamers in general. So if I were them, I would probably start things off from Armory and then go for into a archive take, or unless I'm not feeling that zealous, I would have probably gone for CCTV directly, because there is a player on that area, and probably I already know because I have droned it out, unless they have not. The smoke is already there to cover up the scopos in case things go wrong. And the biggest plan for the side of Freakret is to burn time. And I guess they're going to be finding a lot of success here as the line is all super low on HP. I believe that is thanks to the Mera or maybe the Melusi, I'm not sure. But Blitz does come inside the CCTV set. But the bigger problem is he has the diffuser. What was the game plan here?
I don't really know what Venoms was going for. He goes in alone. Doesn't really expect the player to be contesting him inside of CC, and he goes down. That's your okay. All right, Domantas is injured as well. So not just the shield player is gone, but Domantas rather is injured outside. Will have to be recovered as well. So Domantas is down to 20 HP. Leon is down to like 10. Fluency is half HP. There's been so much chip damage done to everybody on the side of Myth. They've lost their shield player. The diffuser is out in the middle of nowhere. Coded will finally recover it in the middle of CC. But they have about a minute to take complete top floor control while they're also getting smoked out on the top of those east stairs. And that's okay. Well, you have to hit those tracks, Coded. I think they have to go over the wall. Fluency, he gets himself one, but he will be traded. Shmari is in the fight as well. And with that, Coded now takes some damage as well. Everybody on Myth has now taken damage. As Shmari does get injured in the process, there is a chance to maybe finish him off. And Leon actually punishes Solar as well, who was trying to play defense around Shmari. And suddenly, Myth turned this around. They're still low on HP, but they've only got Cheetah and Tom to worry about now.
Have 2 players to worry about, but at the same time, they gotta make sure that they're not taking unnecessary gunfights, because these HPs will not allow them to take too much of a luxury to have, the covers and everything. All it takes is just 1 bullet. And the bigger problem is the Scopus is already on the flank, and if he doesn't know, boy, the potato fest and a half. Tom, he's not gonna be happy about it whatsoever. He will dispatch a impact grenade to confirm a kill, but guess what? Nobody was even hit or injured there, so that's not gonna be favoring him. And now the attackers know there is only 1 player inside the objective, and now that's gonna be solidified because the Melusi has taken some shot. But guess what? Cheetah doesn't even need to see what's coming at him. He's gonna be wallbang. Guess what? He's gonna wallbang the player back. As Freakret has solidified their lead on the first half after all, 4-1, and they are really still rumbling onto the momentum here. Myth, questionable playstyle, I will have to admit, because again, you can send a blitz to be aggressive. That's fine. If you send someone else, that's better, because now the blitz can be refrag. The blitz can be way more scarier because you can flash him in case you're getting stunned. Someone can take the advantage of the player being blinded, but you do not send a blitz with the diffuser.
Well, I mean, maybe you do if you're directly going for a plant, but that was CCTV. What are you doing over there? Right. Like, what's the play? So Myth, I think once again this goes to prove the theory that I put forward on Border every single time. It's a tiny map, and the way that you play it on defense and the way that you have to successfully play it on defense is you need to contest space basically outside the building. As the moment that the attackers get a foothold in the building with a even man count, with nobody taken off, with no gunfights, you kind of just lose the round, because at that point they have enough space to just spread out all over the map and to really, really heavily punish any of your rotations, any of your movements. You get like just put into one position. You cannot move from there. And so you have to challenge outside. You have to contest space everywhere on this map that it's available to you. And so far, Freakret have done a really good job of that. Every time Myth have tried to move into a building somewhere, they got contested. And yeah, Damanta's got a kill here and there, but ultimately Freakret managing to challenge that still costs Myth enough time to not be able to go into a level-headed execute, which causes them to make mistakes like they did in round one.
Very well.
And from there, yeah, it's just you have to contest that space.
Yeah, you actually said it better than I ever will. And if this is something they can probably get in their heads, at least from the side of Myth, they're gonna be going with a pretty okay split, at least in the very first half. But then again, that does not look very likely quite yet. But they do have some damages which has been dealt from their side, and if the odds are correct, they should be able to take control of CCTV and then proceed into Armory as well. But the problem is, there's always a scope post for some reason inside of that area, and he's just unstoppable. He's just an
They never
unmovable
know.
object. He's just always there, and he's unmovable, and he just does not let it go. But hopefully, this time around, he will be going down. But guess what? The wall
Goated.
bangs are just way too precisely from the side of Freakret. Somehow they're the one who are being wall banged, but they just wall bangs back harder. And now with the 3-3 situation, yeah, you can have an argument that Mute is low on HP, so this should favor the side of Myth, right? Sorry, yeah, Myth, right? But problem is, if they can have a proper timing, they're gonna have a way bigger edge. This time around, the Thatcher does have the opportunity to jam the utilities and allow the Blitz to go for a plan. And this time, it does go to a post plan. But we know how well the opposition are orchestrated to go for these post plan plays. We will be seeing a Capital kill coming in, so it's all up to the Mute and the Warden. Warden was jammed because of his glasses. I believe C4 still available in hand. C4 will be in hand, and there you have it. It will be blown, but the run out is not on the correct direction. He was not expecting him to be there, but guess what? Both of the players were like, you know what? Let's run out anyways. We're just gonna get the kill. But sadly, not the case. So Myth able to take one more run on their board. That was kind of important if you ask me, because having a 4-2 split is workable. 5-1, yeah, I can do with it, but it's still risky. 6-0, oh boy, I really gotta step up my game.
Yeah, and with that Myth, I think they stabilize into the second half. The question is this Freakret finding their own form, just really playing to their strengths on this map? Because this is something I was worried about. I didn't have the time to bring this up while we were in the map bans at the very start of the matchup, at the very start of the stream. But I was worried about the border pick, because if Myth want to play Bank, and if that's their first priority, if they're like, we want to go to Bank, Bank is a gigantic map where you can play around the defense by just kind of shuffling your operators around and just kind of moving around and making sure that you keep the attackers guessing. Border is the complete opposite of that. Border is tiny. You're basically taking gunfights the whole time. And judging from how we saw Bank play out, Freakret really like that sort of aggressive playstyle. They don't mind just getting into engagement in the first like 20 seconds. So this is a map that just heavily favors them by default, and you can see by the scoreline, it could have even been a 5-1 depending on how some of those rounds went. But Myth, they do recover, and they now find themselves on the defense. The question is that a playstyle that suits them as well? I don't really see Myth going out aggressively and trying to challenge space like Freakret did, and that might come back to haunt them in this map pick.
Very well said, actually. And honestly, from mid side, I like how they always play calm and they always have a composure to control the momentum, and they really take things slow. Like for example, in the map of Night Haven, and
Just
I
ignore
can't
round one.
exactly.
Just pretend round one didn't happen.
Yeah, basically, if I have to talk about Border, as you said, if I ignore round one, they have been a pretty well orchestrated team. They have their moments where they were able to like take very careful engagements, and they found decent success. Not the best, of course. There is no argument about that, but at least something you can work on. But Freakret, they are scary to play against. You'd never know where they're gonna be. They are the proper boogeyman. They are the Baba Yaga. If I have to be honest about it. But Myth, being smart is something which, let's just be real, people. If brute force was something, it would have been the rhinos who would have conquered the world, not the human beings. So Myth are having that advantage, and they do have the composure, and I really hope they have the same thing on the defense side as well, to make an equalization and maybe onto their own side as well. Again, it's not me being biased, it's just something which should be expected from the side of Myth, because they are that good of a team. Freakret plays with raw aggression, and guess what? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This is one example where it did not. Fluency knew exactly where the capital was going to be, because they were expecting someone to be a bit more present onto the AC vent side, or should I say on the southern side, east side, so that they can go for a quick plant just like they did. So they took advantage of that. They had a read,
is
and
this
now that is
fight
one player off the board.
Fluency?
And guess what? It's gonna be Fluency just
Oh
playing
my
a
god!
point and clicking adventure game, as he's gonna be getting rid of Tomosi. But now it's all Cheetah now in a 1v4. Can he do it again?
Can he do it again? It was a 4K and a 1v3 effectively. He did it in round 1. The question is, can he put that together again? Otherwise, Myth, they close that gap. They just approach onto the score line, and yeah, Domantas takes him out. Myth win themselves the first round on the second half. They go to 3 and 4. They're starting to stabilize. They're starting to recover. They're starting to find into their own like they always do. And Freakret kind of at a loss on what they did in this round. I mean, they dispatched Coded once again, a player that's kind of gone quiet on this map here. I think he really wasn't comfortable on the attack. He was getting picked off a lot. But now Myth, the remaining players are really picking up the slack for it. Fluency, once again, the first one to break into double digits. It's been consistently somebody on the side of Myth. That's not necessarily a good thing because, the kill distribution on Freakret is a little more even. You've got Solar and Cheetah who are both on 8 and 7 respectively. And you've got the other players like picking up some of the occasional rounds here and there and like big plays being made. But Myth are the ones that just have like one or two exceptional players that are performing on the map. And the best and most important thing about Myth is it's not just the same ones every time. It's a different player every time that breaks that 10 kill first.
That's an indication of their fragging capability and their flexibility. Yeah, last time I believe it was Coded who did it first, and I'm not even sure who did it on map because I forgot, but
I think Leon. I think
okay.
Leon broke 10 kills first on one of the maps.
Okay, thanks for the information then. So in that case, that's, as I said, it's an indication of how well their flexibilities are. They can switch up the roles when the times are dire. They can put up a particular play that, you know what, I'm a fragger, but guess what? I'm just gonna let you do it today because I'm not feeling it. And that's something you can allow your teammates. They can do it. And I like that because yeah, you can have a solid role. You can be the best Thermite player or an Ace player or an Ash player, anything. But consistency is kind of rare because sometimes we may not have the best of our days. And trust me when I say in any esports shooter or any esports title, luck is a big factor sometimes at given extent. So if your teammate can step up and fill up the gap, you can chill and you can still win rounds. And that's exactly what Myth has been doing so consistently. Freakret, they have been consistent overall as a team. They have been amazing players individually as well. So that's comments to them as well. But as of now, it feels like that they gotta step up the game on a different fashion. But I think they have heard me loud and clear as the wall banks do come in onto smoke, forcing him to fall back. As the attack, as the defenders, just like their opposition, they have extended quite a lot. Oh, wait a second, he expected that to be something else, but that's just metal detector. Why does it show there's a metal detector? Considering it's a team gadget, I just realized.
Good question. Well, I mean, is it a team gadget? It's just a gadget.
Oh, it's a neutral gadget. Right.
Well, I mean, if you don't know the map that well, maybe it's useful to you. I assume that these guys have played Border before, like maybe once or twice. So I don't think it's that important. But what is important is that Domantas is down first. So he kind of got tagged up through the wall. There was some bullets biting away at his Kevlar. And now he gets taken out for good. That there's no more smoke canisters, no more smoke babes to come out. And this is kind of detrimental to Myth because that's their main form of plant denial. They've got 2 impacts to work with. I don't really think that's going to do much. Maybe Fluency C4 could have some sort of impact. But they've spotted another player, the Solus, Coded. He's once again getting hunted down. He's not had a good time on this map so far. And at the minute, they're trying to lock him in again. But he comes alive at the right time. Ecox gets taken out. Myth, they find themselves once again in a 4v4. And they manage to equalize. Coded gets away unscathed mostly as he finds himself still alive, still kicking, and he knows that one of the gadgets, I think, got converted. The Kludge drone doing a bit of work here as well, as now Tom is in. He has to recover the diffuser. That's a lot of time lost, and now he tries to move over into bathroom. The question is, do they expect this angle? There's a drone coming in, so he has information on the bomb site itself. But is there anybody on Myth present to try and do anything about it?
I think there is the warden inside the objective, but the bigger factor is that they're trying to extend the site as much as they can, and I guess they're gonna be really confident to do so. There will be some retaliations from Venoms after all. Never mind, it was not warden. It was actually the oh boy! How do you hit that shot, my G? And that's also Cheetah in a 1v2. Again, we have seen this player making clutches happen, but this time it's a little bit more favorable. But I guess the players of Myth, they just had a proper timing. They went in for the peak at the given same time, and they will find the kill as well. Equalization is on the board, ladies and gentlemen. And I have to give it to the players of mid. They played it so calmly. They understood that there might be someone outside the main door. The Ace was technically a turret there, just giving informations. But even after that, they were able to pull that off. That was really commendable from the side of Myth. Good attempt from the Grim, though. I believe Grim or IQ. I believe it was the Grim who was able to get inside the objective to go for the plan, but he was not expecting the Womai to dive in from the hatch and get a headshot while dropping.
Yeah, it was the IQ who did put the plant down.
Okay,
So,
IQ, I thought. Sorry.
yeah, the player got in, got droned through. I do believe it was Tom, who's on the IQ again at the moment. And at first I was worried, Myth, they weren't immediately responding to the diffuse plant, but then I saw what was going on top floor, and I was like, okay, no, Myth understand that their win condition a lot better than Freakret do at the moment, because they know they have to isolate the fight on top floor, and they know that they need to find the right timing for it. So they took their time, waited for a chance to swing together onto the player inside of Archives, managed to dispatch him, and then that allows the Wamai to go for that round-winning hatch drop play, even though it was in the post plant. The IQ gets her gun back up. That's kind of a risk because the player could turn around on you and get you. But I think, the play gets rewarded, making sure that you get top floor control, because then you can try and shut down the play. You can do it in a retake, and Myth do that beautifully. They also play around each other in the double swing and the 2v1 as well. So they equalize the score. They managed to completely stabilize. I mean, for a second, it looked like Freakret, they might be running away with this map in the first half, but now that we've gotten the half switch, we can see why Myth maybe picked this map, and we can see that their level-headedness and sometimes their lack of aggression early on doesn't necessarily punish them, which is very unusual for a map like Border.
Very unusual, but it is not unusual for Myth, as it seems, because as I said, they have been showing a lot of consistency when it comes to recovering from impossible positions. Again, yes, the last couple of rounds, Freakret were able to take the initial rounds. Maybe I think you said it was 0-2 in their favor, but then Myth was able to take that back. But when they did so, it was consistent. It was not questionable, and it was really solid. They did not leave any room for arguments. They did not leave any room for errors whatsoever. Now, Freakret, they understand that, and now they gotta bring themselves back onto the drawing board. They have found some success. They have found the K. They have tacked up the Melusi significantly here, and they will also put him out of his misery. So that is kind of the lead they want to have, and they have found at least some progression. But at the same time, do you really want to let yourself go and dive inside the objective, considering Myth players are absolute monsters? I don't think so, and I guess they're not going to be doing that quite yet, because now, at this very moment, whatever Freakret is doing, it's kind of resembles whatever Myth did on the previous maps. Because, mind you, they had initial frags and then they just stopped. There was a pin drop silence, which made the defenders that, okay, what do I do now? Do I go for drops? Do I go for aggressive peaks? Or do I just sit here and wait for the perfect moment? And now, as they're double lighting themselves, this is a good position to work with for the side of Freakret, as they know exactly where the warden is, or at least a random wallbang was there. They can probably take control of the objective. But then again, I would still say send the Blackbeard first, and then send the diffuser, and then you'll probably have a better chance to fight back. There's still a player above, though. I believe that's the Solus, or I do believe that's the Solus still on Armory. And if he's not hunted down, he can probably not stop the plan by any given means, but he can definitely be a problem when it comes to going for flanks.
Fluency trying to pick a fight with the player outside on the window, and now it looks like Shmari is moving into the objective to just try and put the diffuser down. Maybe he can put the shield on his back as Venoms finds the player outside. That might allow Coded to cross in, but do they know where the plant is coming down? They try to tag up the player, but no, plant goes down. Shield comes back up. There's a nade that lands in the face of Venoms. And now with the Blackbeard having a shield up, this becomes so difficult to retake. There's the vert control. There's the control from outside on East Stairs. Coda gets dropped, and Cheetah gets both. Freakret, they find another... They find themselves back into the match, and suddenly they get themselves an attack, and we're right back to the trading rounds.
Good God, Freakret, really smart play from their side. They sent the Blackbeard in, as I said, and then they had the Twitch onto the custom side and made sure that he did not move, because he understood that there's a lot of angles he can cut off from that one particular angle. And with that DMR of M417, considering the damage output and low recoil, you can be a monster. You can barely and hardly be contested. And that's something Freakret took full advantage of. And I'm proud of that. I mean, not on a biased level, but I am. I'm looking at you, buddy. So Myth, shooting on 4 rounds, that is still a very comfortable position to work with, but they gotta make sure these bans are favoring the Mira and Blackbeard ban out. I'm not gonna say that Blackbeard was that kind of a problem for them, even though Blitz and other shield operators still open for them to play. But I guess they just want to get rid of the Scar H in his hand, which of course, with the shield on the board and a assault rifle, that's not easy, as because you are technically going for a headshot gunfight. But it'll have to do for now. But they also lost the Mira of the board, so kind of leaves arguments on both sides, because you do not get the chance to go for the pre-fires anymore, or you do not get the chance to extend into CCTV as per se. So the playstyle will be different, undoubtedly different. But how do you play this? How is gonna be your approach, and how do you stall the aggression inside of Freakret?
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Well, at the moment, the question also comes into play, not just for Myth, how do they deal with the aggression out of Freakret? I'm also curious, because of the operator lineup specifically, what's the play out of Freakret? They've got a Sense, they've got a Blitz, and they've got a Capital. This is looking very suspicious, very suspiciously like it's going to be an execute play, like it's going to be a very aggressive play to just try and deny enough information to get a diffuser planted on the ground. But I'm at the moment I'm questioning the angle of approach. I don't think it's going to be a fast plan, because we've got Cheetah over on the CC side trying to clear out break room, and I think they're just trying to slowly get control of CCTV. They're going to try and use the blitz to utilize that. We did see Myth try and fail to take CC control with a blitz, but you can see Freakret, they've got more players stacked up, and there's a swing coming through, but not quite connecting. Leon goes down. Venom's elsewhere on the map also goes down, as Fluency now finds a kill as well. Myth are all over this gunfight, and the problem is they're not really coming out ahead, as they've lost CC control relatively early on. In Freakret, they managed to keep their blitz alive. Tom now going down, but I think appropriate map control gains, so Freakret are going to be happy with this.
They're going to be happy with that, but they're not going to be happy with the fact that they have lost the man advantage they had. And it's back to a 3-3 equalization. They still have very aggressive operators to work with, including the Dokkaebi and the Blitz, but they need to find and support each other when the approaches needs to be dire. There's still a diffusion in their hands, so I believe it's probably going to be really focused onto that armory wall, but problem is, Smoke is still alive and breathing, and at the same time, there is Melusi holding onto the small box, and probably there are some footholds as well in case they need to go for the pan denials. And as it seems, Soul is still very much on the run. He can definitely use the gadget to go for the scans and then reveal the location of the blitz, and that's probably gonna give away what's happening here. And oh boy, the timing needs to be impeccable here. And now the Dokkaebi understands what's oh my
Solar.
lord, good pre-fire, as he has pretty much solidified the run for his team, as now the blitz is free to go for a plan in case he wishes to. But then again, I would rather go for a aggressive take first. Oh boy, blitz is spotted out with the diffuser, and now he needs to cover. But at the same time, the smoke grenades are covering the angle so precisely.
Trying to
And
plant
now
deep.
Melusi just goes for a bullfight of his own, and he's trying to contest the blitz all by himself. He's taking matters in his own hands, but somehow still survives. And now it's all up to the Melusi and a 1v2. Blitz is taking on his plan. Technically 1v1 as long as he can get the sense, but the blitz is still not letting this go. The blitz is playing so patiently. So many angles to go for, and now the blitz is just chasing him down. And there you have it. Freakret, they played patiently, and this sounds so wrong to say because they are the team who tends to play bold and aggressive. Boy, oh boy, they do grow up.
It was a really good play around the Sense gadget to try and get the blitz in. A little bit of fortune on the side of Freakret to have the timing on their side there, to not have the blitz immediately caught out vaulting into blue corner. And then there on that half wall, perfect opportunity for him to plant. They need to cross all the way through the sideline of the other player covering to get to him. And as soon as that plant is down, the blitz becomes an absolute menace, because in the post plant, it becomes so difficult to try and encroach on that location again. But with that being said, it's a good round out of Freakret, and it looked like Myth were gonna do their usual thing of just, giving Freakret a few rounds and then ripping it right away from them, and just, sweeping it from underneath their noses. But instead, Freakret, they managed to stabilize, they managed to find a way back in, and we've got this game not turning once, but turning twice, and we're right back on where we started out. Freakret, they find themselves on match point. This is their first match point opportunity in the entirety of this matchup so far. And now they have 2 chances to close it out, which will extend us to 1 more map at the very least, which means Consulate could be open. And Consulate could be a battleground where both of these teams are going to struggle.
Tides are shifting, and it really looks like it's going to be the case after all. And honestly, again, on a grand final, I'm all in for it. At least a 1x something is something I would expect. I'm not saying that I would hate to see a 5th map, no, whatsoever. But a 4th map is something which, on a best of 5, is kind of a compulsory thing in my books. But as of now, it will also be answered with the side of myth if they can push it to overtime. And as it seems, 1 second, Freakret players, they're just boogeyman. They're just walking inside the objective or the building as if it's just nobody's business, as if they're just playing a versus AI game or something. The flashes do come in, and now Smoke understands there's a lot of players to go for, and he will lose his life on that equation. Somehow Cheetah took a lot of damage. I'm not sure if it was the Smoke who's responsible, but there is a lot of factors of the fact that they'll have to go for kind of a, how do I put it, a reset and then go for an objective take. Hang on a second. Lion was inside the objective, got slowed by the Melusi Banshees, and then he just fell back. That is a very nasty thing to do, because now you're moving the crosshair placements of your bullets and moving them to play a different angle so that the breathe bits can proceed inside the objective, considering he is the person who has the diffuser, who probably is also gonna plant the diffuser. So now with that on the board, Melusi is trying to hold on to several angles at the same time. He's technically in a shooting range. The problem is the bots tend to shoot back. Oh boy, the first line of contact. But now the grenades come in. He needs to make a drop for it, but he just takes a lot of damage while he's dropping the hatch. Good God, that's what we call a fire in the hole. And now on a 4v4 situation, I would say the odds are oddly equal, because the Brava and the Melusi are technically on the same HP.
All right, Fluency, Solus, they've both over here coded. He has to try and play around his teammate. C4 comes out, might connect onto the Blitz, takes him down low, will knock away his shield. That's one. Venoms finds one elsewhere, and now it's a 1v1 effectively of Coded upstairs. Ecox is getting tagged up from somewhere else. Coded will vacate the position, will allow Ecox to be up there. They know where he is. He might have access to Diffuser, and it looked like it was going to be a rough outing, a rough fight, but the Blitz getting dispatched just kind of folds the round for Freakret. And that means Myth might have an opportunity to get themselves one more on the board, put themselves one away from OT. And Ecox is the only one standing between that and the round win right now. At the moment, he's playing quite passively, might be using it as a bit of a timeout, maybe using it to gauge the situation, waiting for opportunities to present themselves. And speaking of, he takes down Coded. Coded, who rotated back upstairs, gets punished for his hubris. Leon down to low HP as well. If he can get found, it's only down to Venoms. And now he's in the corner. Ecox gets tagged up further, but he's still alive. So long as he's kicking, that DMR can hurt. Leon, he finds the headshot. Myth find one more. It's not over just yet, and we're going all the way in regulation, all 12 rounds once again, Cresto.
This is again a moment where we have to bite our own nails and expect what to come, because it's such a dire situation. We just cannot make any predictions whatsoever. Because Freakret, they're an amazing team, but Myth just knows exactly how to slap back, and they know how to gain their momentum back, and now they are on even grounds. If they can push it to overtime, everything the players of Freakret were able to capitalize on, it's just gonna be gone. It doesn't even matter anymore. Freakret will have to give their everything to take this map on their board, and this is probably the last chance. I mean, I'm not saying that they cannot take it on overtime, but going on overtime will really frustrate you as a player, because you will always feel like that, hey, I had this map, I had overtime, I was on the tip of my nails, and now I'm on overtime. Yeah, I can still do it, but it's really gonna destroy my mental. And now Myth
Fingernails
is
or
trying a little bit
toenails?
to capitalize on just that. What, come again?
Fingernails or toenails?
Fingernails. What the hell, man? Come on, man. I see what you did there. But as of
I'm picturing
now,
Cresto chewing on his toenails because of how exciting the matchup is.
you know, now that you say it, for some reason my tongue feels funny. I don't know. It feels like that I have something in my tongue, and it just whatever. Let's say in the present, and probably I'll do it as an experiment later down the line after the stream is over. I didn't say that. Anywho, the Bravo.
Fun
doing
fact:
a
you are
lot
now
of
blinking manually.
Oh, come on, man! Don't do that to me.
Of course, I'm gonna do that to you.
Well, you can. And now, Bravo getting a lot of values with the clutch drone, getting rid of 2 utilities on that particular doorway. Is gonna allow the attackers to take entry from that side, but I do wait a second. The Bravo. Wait, don't tell me he did not know the Solis was there. It was so close for comfort. IQ, you better be careful. I think the Solis is kind of concerned about that as well. He's going for the shots. He's just breaking barricades to be a distraction. These are moments where I feel like I'm gonna have a heart attack and a half, or maybe just die out of peer pressure. I don't know. I think the Blitz is spotted out by the Solis.
Oh no,
yes, it was the case. There you have it. That's why Solus is a scary operator, especially when you have a Blitz or any operator who has an active gadget outside.
Oh no, the C4 from Venoms to connect as well. It's a 5v3. Myth are trying to storm this into overtime. They start off with Coda just roaming everywhere around the map. He can't be contained. He's still trying to swing outside. And he finds the blitz, which is so important because Shmari caused them so many troubles in the previous round. Now Coded, he gets tagged up. But with that advantage, maybe Coded can just leave this fight. His toes get spotted. Speaking of toenails, Tom, he knows where they are. He has no idea where the Solus is. He misses crucial shots, but he does find the down. Coded, he does go down. There's no kill confirmation yet. Coded might have a chance to crawl away from this, but until then, Leon will have to try and cover for him. He's going to try and do it onto that balcony inside of CCTV. He also got the cross from Tom covered, but I think Leon, or Coded rather, I think might be stuck. I don't know if he can get out through that rotation while he's prone down there, but Domantas, he's sitting in a corner with a shotgun and he manages to dispatch another player. That's going to make it so difficult for Freakret. He finds another. That SMG-11 rings true, not just from Coded, but from Domantas, who finds himself on double digits in kills as well now. And I think we're going to overtime.
We are indeed going to overtime. That's pretty much given. Even though Solus will be going down 100%, denying a flawless round, but that's all he's gonna be able to find, unless Tom finds something out of the heads. But sadly, it's not something we're gonna be waiting for.
Denies the
It's
flawless.
gonna be Aruni. Well, he did go down. So, and I think the kill was also confirmed. So sadly, it's not something we saw on the screen. So, but nice attempt from the side of Freak. But boy, oh boy, Myth read the opposition like an open book. They knew they're gonna have a blitz, and they knew they're gonna be someone, at least a couple of people outside of East. And sadly, the blitz happened to be then the Solus took full advantage of that scan, and the best part of it is he didn't even go for a scan. He didn't even bother. He was like, okay, there's a gadget outside. It means that there might be someone who probably has an active gadget, or maybe just on the drone. What if I just pre-fire him? Good God. And we have a rehost.
All right, rehost coming in at the most pivotal time. This is not the time you want to have a rehost, but what can you do? There's a bit of a reset going on now. The reset, of course, extended by the fact that we have to get everyone back in lobby again, and this is going to give the players some downtime. Once again, we're not on land. The players are going to be able to just freely discuss things, and this is going to give an advantage to both teams effectively. They get to talk through some things. It does kind of kill the momentum of Myth. But other than that, Freakrets, they have a chance to just recuperate. They have a chance to talk through some things and to understand what's at stake, because this is 2-0. They were on match point to take one map away from Myth to make this a 2-1 to continue straight into Consulate, and they didn't manage to convert those chances. Now they sit in overtime, and they can potentially have Myth just one round away from once again putting their backs to the wall, but this time, not just for the map point, for the series point, which would make this a 3-0 for Myth, which would lock Freakret out of any maps, out of any competition, and that would just solidify Myth as the winner of the matchup. So looking at that, it's going to be tough.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be heartbreaking, to say the very least. But it's something Freakred have to deal with. They don't have a choice anymore whatsoever. And now with Myth on defense as well. Hang on a second. Are we already in the? Yeah, we are already in the game. With that on the board, they'll just have to bite the bullet.
They're
bite the bullet
planting.
and just go for it. They're going for a plan, but I guess that's not gonna
C4.
work anytime, because it was a C4 gun. It's kind of expected, actually. I'm not sure what was the game plan from the side of Freakred here, because guess what? You have done this thing before. Your opposition did the same thing before. How do you expect your opposition is not going to predict that? So Freakred are really getting ahead of themselves, and that's gotta hurt. And now on a 2v4 situation, it's gonna be hard to just recover the diffuser, let alone going for the round itself. But then again, they're gonna give the chance, and they're gonna have.
Oh,
the chance to go
Ecox!
for it,
Oh
as
my God!
Ecox finds the first. Needs to go for 3 more angry defenders. Needs to find the isolations. Needs to find the timing. Because I'm pretty sure the defenders are not going to let this go easily. They're just going to hold onto the diffuser. They're just going to chill because they have all the time favoring them. No drones available for the Thatcher anymore, sadly. So he has to go in blind. I'm not sure if that's the same thing for the Grim as well. I do believe there are some Kawan hives available to at least get some information without exposing his own body. But there's just far too many information on the defensive side. They know the the Thatcher is onto the east side, but does he know that he has already moved up to CC? I don't think so, because he is not looking at the general direction, but he is expecting the DMR to peak. And the nick of time, the timing. Oh boy, there we go.
Boy.
This is Rainbow Six Siege at its finest. As Thatcher
Yep.
goes down, well, we are back to our lovely faces.
Well, that looks like it's a game crash. All right, this I don't even know what you do about this now. This is the middle of a round. We're gonna have to wait and see what the admin call on this is, but I don't know what you decide to do. So we said rehost. It ended up just being a quick tech pause into now an actual rehost because we did have a little bit of a game crash, and I don't think we're gonna yap through this. I think we're just gonna allow everybody to reset the lobby, allow us a chance to maybe take a very quick breather, and then don't go anywhere because we'll be right back with probably the tail end of a really, really important map. So don't go anywhere. Border right back.
Boy, oh boy, that was kind of a longer pause, sadly, because we had some oopsies coming in. So we had to like reset the bands and everything, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to be back on the board on overtime and looking down onto probably maximum overtime on the grand finals. Mind you, Myth is already on 2 maps. This can be the last round they play if they can win this, while Freakret, the world is against them.
It really does seem that way, doesn't it?
Defused by attackers.
Sadly, yes.
Well, at the moment, nothing really panning out for them. 7-6. No funny number. We got it reversed. I'm sorry. Everybody disappointed. It looks like if we want to see the funny number in overtime, we're gonna have to see Freakret take us to another map. Otherwise, I think the best we can do is 7-7, which I don't think people are going to be happy with. So ultimately, Freakret, backs against the wall. They've got everything to do. They've got everything before them. Myth, they've got it all to lose. They've got it in the bag basically. All they have to do is just take it home.
5 seconds to insertion.
They've got it all wrapped up nicely. All they have to do is step through that door and maybe not accidentally have your keys fall into the gutter on the way into the house. That's important. I think that's the main concern for them right now. Just find something that works, anything. Just throw it all out there. Just saving strats are. I think we're done with saving strats. Just bring everything you got. Make sure you get it over the line.
It is home stretch for them, but there are some teams who tend to choke at given times, and I'm really hoping that Myth is not one of them. And I kind of do believe them on that regard. So because they have shown some consistencies where they don't quite let go even when the odds are against them. Freakret not an exception, but as of now they are not having the best of the games they wanted to have. They definitely wanted to have this map for themselves, but sadly the tides have been turned, and now all the abilities, all the momentum they had, it's gone down the gutter, down the toilet, if I may. And now Myth, they're just looking for one perfect attack. And as it seems, they're just trying to farm style points, because I see the exact same lineup we saw on round 5. Because I think it was 4-1 or maybe 3-1, something like that, where they were able to take. Yeah, it was 3-1, where they were able to pick up the momentum. They had nothing going for them. And from that, now they're sitting on such a comfortable position. But hopefully for the attackers, they do have every single preparation they could have asked for. There is a Buck who is ready to deny any form of C4 utilities, even though Ikoxy is not a C4 operator here. He is Dagoyo. So hang on a second. I just realized there's only one C4 operator available, that is the Warden, while the Smoke is trying to go for the toxic waves and trying to deny is as much as he can possibly. But still, the plan, I don't think it's gonna be going. It's not gonna be having any. Never mind. I'm gonna eat up my own words. It will finally be dispatched and it will be denied, making it a 4-3 situation. So the style points are not gonna be going in their favor quite yet as they were planning to. So Meth will have to go for a complete reset on the board and try to go for frags instead. We will be seeing the DMRs going out loud. It's gonna be Shamari able to get one as Scopus gets one more. Looking for more as it's gonna be all on the Dom. Pretty far away, but Shmarvi is known for farming style points, and he just doesn't give up whatsoever. He is gonna probably go down while trying to do that, but he will not be the person who's gonna get that. It's gonna be Tom instead, who will take us to maximum overtime 7-7. And boy, oh boy, it is getting super spicy as we reach the last round of this map. Which is gonna be, it can be Myth, it can be Freakret, but the odds do favor the side of Myth a little bit here because they are on defense. Oh boy.
All right, fight back. Still somewhere in the tank for Freakret. They're not going to take this lying down. They want to make sure that they give us a bit of an entertaining spectacle. And what a way to do it than to drag us all the way to 7-7, maximum overtime inside of map 3, as Myth find themselves still on map and series point. If they win this, the game's over. If not, Freakret have a chance to just continue keeping this game alive and making the good old reverse sweep happen, the good old Penta EG 2018 Grand Final reenactment. We're going to do it live. We're going to do it again. We're going to see if Freakret can pull it off. But one more round to go for that to unfold. Otherwise, Myth, I said they've got it all in their court. They've got it all figured out. And now you really just have to bring it over the line. Is it the nerves for the side of Myth that are just allowing them to make mistakes? Is it just being too nervous to close it out? Is it just being out of ideas? Did you throw everything at the wall to get here and now you don't know what to do? Like, it's just missing that final little spark. All it takes is a couple of kills and suddenly Freakret are basically locked out of winning this entire series. That's all it comes down to. So the pressure is high, and it looks like Coded is going to start out aggressively. Doesn't find anybody on the spawn peak, but you can see Myth is just throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks.
I have to give to Shmari actually. He's walking with a pistol so that his wits gadget, his shield's not activated so that he cannot be spotted out by the Solus. I understand that on one run where he was taken out by the Solus, that traumatized him so hard that he just wants to make sure that that's not a factor and he wants to nullify it. Boy, oh boy. But as you said, yeah, this might be a factor where they're not having the best of it because of a lot of adrenaline, a lot of things going in their head that, hey, what if I just happen to mess it up? What if I disappoint my team? What if I disappoint my fans? And so on and so forth. This is the odds you play against in a tournament match. There's just way too much peer pressure. Oh boy, Solus! He somehow gets the frag, but he will not be going unpunished. Hopefully their free frag game is gonna be there. Buck is there. But now 4-4 situation, not quite an edge for either of the teams. Could have been a better one for the attackers though, because that is Solo, a very, very gifted player. But at the same time, they have also taken out Code, another gifted player. So the trade or the trade-offs are really equal in my books, at least. Now the attackers, they are starting to take control of the top floor, but I don't know if they know the objective is on first floor on ventilation. So verticality is probably the name of the game here, but I guess they're gonna be trying to go for something instead because the Blitz just spotted out this objective and instead of going for a rotation to go for a East tier take along with Ace. So chances very high they are gonna be opting to go for a hat drop and go for a plant while the Ace is proceeding into the teller side, making his way onto the southern entrance. So if he can hunker down here and probably cut off the rotations onto from the side of customs, the Blitz should be fine going in for the plant because the only thing he needs to take care of is the players inside the objective. He's gonna
Shmari,
do it,
he
isn't
moves
it?
into the site. He's in there. They should have hatch control. He can go for this. The question is, can they cover the cross, or is Venom's able to pull out here? Yes, Venom's. He gets his SMG-11 in hand. There's the plant, but Dematis finds Cheetah, so now it's just the Blitz inside of the side. Shmari, he has to find 3 players, and he's only got a pistol to work with. He has to defend this for 30
boy.
seconds, but Dematis finds him, and that's the game. Myth 8-7. If they get on this disable, if they stop trolling, okay, they kill each other. Myth, they take it 3-0. GG's. It is no maps for Freakret. A very hard fought third map. A hard fought every single map. All of these maps were so close, but ultimately Myth every single time come out on top, have that edge, and get themselves the very well deserved grand finals victory here in EON Series Season 5.
Myth have outdone themselves and they have proven that they are the unbeatable rivals of this team. And I see you're wearing the jersey for a reason. I know you're very proud of it as well, buddy. But at the same time, you should be because Myth pulled themselves from impossible positions. Yes, you said it. Initially, it was 4-2, 4-4, then 6-4 for the favoring side of Freakret. Then they pushed it to overtime, then maximum overtime, and then they won it. People may say it's just a 3-0, probably super easy for the side of Freakret. But then again, on the third map, yes, sorry, for the side of Myth. But Freakret were able to put up a good fight on that map. But even then, Myth kept themselves calm. The composure was unparalleled as they crowned to be the champions of EON Season 5. Good God. Good God, you would be proud to be a part of that team, my guy.
Yeah,
Or
I
would
mean,
have been.
hey, look, all me. I wore the jersey, I won. Look at me go. I did it. But once again, congrats to Myth Esports. I mean, it's a really good run. They were, I think, just the best team going into the playoffs. They were consistently a team that performed well. They had some struggles in the Swiss stage, but ultimately they made it all the way through the upper bracket. They didn't drop a single one of the matches in playoffs, and the map veto advantage managed to give them bank. It was closer than they maybe would have liked it to be, and Freakret put up a hell of a performance. I think especially Shmari and Tom are insanely consistent, and they're playmakers that just really play all or nothing. This time it was nothing. It was a 3-0, but it very well could have been flipped around if there was just 1 or 2 rounds going the other way each map. And that just goes to show how close these two teams were in terms of the matchup. But ultimately, they take second place. It's still a good place to be in Eon, and Myth, they get all the laurels.
That's for certain. And I do believe that they have done their absolute best to it. But at the same time, I do not believe that this is the peak they're going to reach. They have solidified themselves and cemented themselves as the champions of this tournament. But I always believe there is room for improvements. And I am very certain that they will go further. And probably on the bigger stages, we will be seeing their faces. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it from me and my guy Reaper. So, any closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
Nothing really. I'm just excited for SI. I'm gonna be there. So if you manage to see a Tachanka cosplayer running around, ura, that's me. Maybe there's a couple of others, but
Sadly, I'll
don't be
probably get
hesitant
my
to
RP
approach
card
me.
by then. Sadly, I'll probably get my RP card by then. So if I can make it to Paris, I'll definitely gonna be seeing you, buddy. Unless very unfortunate, but that's for there. But at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna be expecting your presence at upcoming tournaments as well. So do stay tuned to this Twitch channel, and we will be seeing you in action. And in case you wanna register to tournaments to be start on these hosts as well, to these tournaments as well, I'm pretty sure the links will be on Discord servers and everywhere. So do not miss your chances because you never know. Next time it might be you. Till then, take care, good night, and auf Wiedersehen.